Oh,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, how the hell are you? Chronic Chris of AsgardRadio.com, where the gods go to rock, hanging out on a Sunday Funday Shop Talk International with my co-host Troy E. Anderson, International Punk Kings. And today we got Shock Jock, Crazy Joe out of New York, and Lienna Rommann from
hi.
Russia.
Yes,
What?
thank you.
She hangs out in the United States promoting bands and worldwide stations and does a lot of marketing and all kinds of kick-ass shit we're going to talk about because like I've said before, I need all the fucking help I can get as far as promotions and marketing and networking and advertising and making motherfuckers listen to Asgard.
Yes.
Yeah. You tell them, Chris. Well, again, let's introduce everyone. Ladies first, from Texas.
Hi. Hello, everyone. This is Lienna. How are y'all doing?
Tell us about yourself.
Awesome.
Tell the world about yourself and what you've been doing this year. I believe you were in a part playing a female version of Pinhead for Hellraiser.
I do photography. I do work for a company called Qualified Commercial Company. I do photo shoots as well. I work for Dark Beauty Pics magazine as well. But mostly and foremost, I am a music promoter. I promote music internationally. I also do labels. I create, resumes for bands to get signed to labels. So I help bands with their exposure, with their marketing, with their publicity, with their journalism, all of the above. Whichever they're lacking, whatever they exposure that they want to get, they come to me for that type of business and that type of publicity. I also send their music to international radio stations to help with the ratings, and of course, once again, it's to help their publicity and their exposure. So that's pretty much what I do. I consider myself a rock crusader, and I do have my logo, which is called Rock Crusader Music Movement Revolution. That's my logo. And of course, I'm Lienna Rommann, a promoter. I'm not a booking agent, but I'm a promoter. Just thought I should stress that. Thank you.
Well put. And from New York City, we have Joseph. Please, Joseph, introduce yourself to the world. And of course, Shop Talk International interviews. We're welcome to have you on. And let's talk about your show as well in New York.
Yeah, well, I just want to say Troy is a very handsome young man, and he gets a lot of women. I'll tell you, I'm very jealous of this guy. Very jealous of you.
He's very handsome.
You look like a Brady. Like when Brady was he's still a handsome guy. Tom Brady. You kind of look like Tom Brady. Very handsome.
I'm a fan of Tom Brady too. Actually, I'm a fan of him.
I can't believe how good you look. I cannot believe it how ugly I am. But anyway,
yeah. Just remember, rinse,
Crazy
wash.
Joe, I gotta know what part of New York are you from? Because you sound like Brooklyn,
right?
Yeah.
He was a taxi driver.
Like
do me a favor. Say, do you have change for $1? Because I need some quarters.
Hey, do you have change for $1? Because I need some quarters. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm
what I'm talking about. Real New Yorker from America.
That is New York all day.
That is so Bronx.
Straight in your face, all right?
Pickety Deutsch. I tried to learn German. This is what an American from England or anywhere else would say. Not faker. This is a real one. This is a real New Yorker. My friends from other lands. You can
tell the accent. That's a real New Yorker.
Oh, yeah. He's from New York.
Damn right. You're damn right. I'm breaking your face if you don't have no respect, though.
And you spent years as a cabbie.
Yes, I was. Yes, I was for 20 years in Manhattan.
Years, holy crap! That must have been interesting. You must have some stories. What's the story about being a cab driver for 20 years?
Well, I'm going to give you one story that I don't like to talk about, but I'm going to give you one story, and I'm going to feed you guys.
Okay.
First of all, my website is thecrazyjoeshow.com.
Awesome.
And I need friends, and I want people to friend me so I can build up my page.
I'll get you all the metal artists from Europe. How's that?
Well, you got friends for you? Here, okay?
Well, I mean, I got the big fish, I think, but I'm still working on it. That's Lienna.
Europe, man. Everyone else going to Europe. Come on with us. Go to Europe. Go to Germany. Go to Denmark. Go to
should.
Sweden.
I should
Yes,
because
we'll
because
take
you,
Put you on the plane. We'll take you from New York. We'll teach you. Get your passport. We'll take you. We'll kidnap you for a little while. You'll be in New York. You might initially want to hang out with you. Who knows? I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah.
We should do it. I'm doing
Oh,
it.
so you want to hear a camp story, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so here's what this is the only one I ever really want to talk about. I was 19 years old. I just got my hack license in New York City, the taxi limousine commission, and I had to get fingerprint on. But anyway, I was driving the cab one night. And I picked up these two people. They were a couple, and they were going to Astoria, Queens, and they were in Manhattan. So of course I took the ride, but I was only the tender age of 19 or 20, so I was very young. And then all of a sudden, as I'm getting to Queens and I cross the Queensboro Bridge, I'm in Queens now, I hear some strange noises coming out of the back. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I turn around like this over my left shoulder, and these people were actually having sex in my cab. And the guy was on top of his girlfriend. And I could not believe that these people were actually having sex. And I was only 19 years old. I was scared to death. So I turned the cab around and I went right back to the garage. And there was a dispatcher there who looked like Jose Jimenez from the old show from the 1950s. And he was a Marine and he had a big Marine Corps ring on. This guy was a tough guy. You don't want to mess with him. I said, Jose, I'm out of here. I'm not going to deal with this. And I gave them to Jose and let him deal with it. But it was the most scariest thing because I've never seen people have sex before. And I'm only 19 years old. And I was
Were they attractive at all, or were they just ugly and just smelly and just disgusting?
Disgusting. Ew.
Was it disgusting to see, or was these ugly people you're talking about, or these like attractive people? I mean,
because I was so young, it sickened me and it scared me. It really scared me. It didn't sicken me. It scared me. I was scared for my life. I've never seen nothing like that.
Traumatized by sex in a cab.
Yes, I was very traumatized. That's
only to become an internet shock jock.
I was traumatized while I was young, trying to learn how to drive, to be a cabbie, by sex, by other people. They're supposed to be the people are supposed to be my people that give me money. You know, these are their clients. These clients went too far, and they were asking more than a tip, obviously.
I mean, obviously, it was an understatement when people say, "Why don't you guys get a room?" When you see people making out in the street and everything, you say, "Hey, why don't you guys get a room?" This was beyond getting a room. This was the actual thing.
You know, there's an old saying I think in New York. It's like, I'm walking here. They're like, "We're fucking here. We're fucking here." No, so I guess that's what they were doing. They're fucking your cab. You know, they were just taking the privilege. You know, rent it out.
Hey,
must have been high on drugs or something.
When the moment arises, make the moment count.
It was on the till. It was on the till. They're on the clock.
Here, buddy, here's your tip. You get a free show.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah.
Well, now I can handle it, but you see, you know, I mean, other guys have told me, "Oh, you should have joined in," you know, which is very sleazy, you know.
Well, when you're 19 and you've never witnessed something but like that before,
yeah,
you don't know how to react. Now, 20 years later, you probably have a different reason today.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
There's a whole different time period. Like if you do it now versus then, oh man, there would be controversy. This shit would be like on the internet. There would be like people getting sued. It would have been wholly different. Like 25 years ago, that is like, come on, man.
Yeah, and they didn't have cameras everywhere 20 years ago.
Oh, totally. There was no PC culture. There was no, let's go get everyone and attack them, throw them down this toilet, you know, plunge them out, you know, say, you did this forever. You'll never be in the industry again. you know, so just saying.
But let me just describe my show for a minute.
Yes, please.
I am the savior of real rock and roll music. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I can say that. And I am doing it. And you're the savior. And Lienna's the savior. And we are all part of being the savior of real rock and roll music. It's a little bit bad right now. I think it is. It's not like it used to be in the 70s and the 80s. I grew up in that time. That was my era, the 80s. I remember bands. I remember clubs on Long Island. We had bars and clubs on every block. Those days are done. Those days are over. But I'm here to offend people because I think we live in a politically incorrect world where you say anything, you offend people. I want people to loosen up. I want to entertain people. I want to make people laugh, and I want to play the greatest rock and roll music of all time. And it costs me money to play this music because I'm all licensed and everything. But I'm soon going to have a 24-hour-a-day rock station to save the Hudson Valley where I live, because they have a lame station here. I don't want to say the name because I don't want to get sued, but they've been on for over 20-something years, and they play disgusting music. They'll play the Black Crowes. They'll play She Talks to Angels. Oh, they'll play Hard to Handle. But the Black Crowes had other songs, so why don't they play them? I'm going to try to put them out of business. That's my thing.
What approach did you want to do? Let me counterpoint on that a little bit. What approach did you want your show to more signify, I guess, versus their mainstream production? What do you want to accomplish?
I want to bring back the greatest rock and roll music from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. There was a station from Texas. They were called Z-Rock, and they came into the Hudson Valley. They came into the Hudson Valley to take over, and PDH has a monopoly with their sponsors and everything else, that it was like a conspiracy, like the JFK assassination. They got Z-Rock out of the area with them a year. And I have recordings of Z-Rock, and they played the... I want to be like Z-Rock.
I still listen to them. They are available on the TuneIn radio app, and I strictly listen for the commercials. I have actually been trying to get Scott McGrath Pest Control as one of our sponsors so I can play his commercials on Asgard, because his delivery is just deadpan. Like, you'd think you were listening to Ben Stein, and he talks about the way he kills bugs, and they're just funny as fuck.
Wow.
I
saw the meow meow there. I saw your meow meow.
Speaking of merchandise and promotions and advertisements, Lienna, where can we find your merch?
Well, right now I am it's going on Dollskill and also in Rivethead and Demonia. I've signed a contract with them. They will be selling the merch for me. I also with Bonfire. I have an account with Bonfire of which they're selling my logos. And I'm open to other companies that would bring my merch out there into the public internationally. So these are just local, okay? But I need I need an international company that will put it out there. But even so, it's open to the public. Anyone on the outside that can download Rivethead, Dollskill, they can find my brand called Lienna's Rockwear. So it's open to the public. I mean, it's there, And
Lienna, nothing for nothing. Looking at your picture here, you are the hottest woman I've ever seen in about the last 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you. Yes, God. Thank you.
I love you so much.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome. That's $10. What a compliment. $10. Is that check money order or is that in cryptocurrency?
Make sure it's euros. Make sure it's euros.
I do that earlier.
Yes, must have the European Deutschmarks.
Euros.
Yeah. Euros now. Deutschmarks.
I have Deutschmarks.
I know, old ones, right?
Yep.
Hey, Troy, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I be a part of this show permanently? Because I'll do the Crazy Joe show, but I also want to do your show. I think I'd be a great third wheel.
We got plenty of screens. We can always have 5 screens. So yeah, why not be available?
Yeah.
Just ask Chris.
Yeah, and this guy's very handsome with his meow.
We got Heathen from Maine. He's usually on. Michelle the Dead. She's with Crypticon. She's also did stuff with Friday the 13th, just like she's done stuff with her companies. So we got some regulars that we always have on. Peter Sermon from NAM and from Manuel Rodriguez from Spain. He knows the King of Spain, of course. And so
¿Cómo está, amigo? Es español. ¿Cómo está?
It's more of a king, less of a lower listener. Yeah. Spain, okay. not Spain, Madrid. So they want to bring the king wants to bring guitars to the world. So he wants everyone to have a guitar to play, to enjoy. To have the opportunity.
I played a little guitar. I was pretty good at it, I thought, in the beginning.
These guitars run for about 1,500, signed about 5,000. So
is that for an acoustic or an electric?
It's a classical acoustic guitar made by Manuel Rodriguez. He's been making stuff for the King of Spain for a long time in Madrid, Spain. Again, Spain is in Europe, not in America, not below Europe 48. It's a country right next to France. I like to alliterate that principle of where it's at. Sometimes people forget there is a place called Spain. So
Yeah, I know.
There is?
yes, it's amazing.
Where?
I consider Spain the motherland.
There's a place called Romania too, where there's Transylvanian real werewolves. These places do exist, by the way. And Peter's been there before. So some of our other guests. Now, hopefully myself next year be on a train and go many, many countries in Europe. That was a conversation, right, Chris? That Peter had about Transylvania. It's like, it's very scary. Do not take a shit or a piss. It is very scary in Transylvania. Remember that, Chris? Yeah, that was fun. That was good times. He's still playing with the software here. It's always good.
I am. I'm having fun, and since we all like music,
yeah,
and we're all gonna go, share music and play music and listen to music.
Yeah, why not?
We're gonna have a bracket here today.
Hell yeah!
And I'm gonna start this bracket.
Talking metal bands, talking like people.
We're talking your best, your favorite, all time. Who do you think is the greatest metal band or act or person who used to be in a band? And I'm going to start it right here.
With me or her or him? Who's going to pick first?
Did that type in?
Who wants to pick first? Anyone?
Yeah, I'll pick first.
Go ahead.
Wait.
Stuff from New York.
I already got the first pick in.
Okay, here we go.
See the first pick?
Ozzy. Okay, so we got Mr. Joseph from New York City.
Yes, I pick Led Zeppelin. That's the greatest rock and roll band of all time.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I believe I agree. I agree. It's a classic, and it's one of the the music, the ingenuity. I mean, excuse me. It's really very nice. It's I feel that it's one of the best bands. Yeah, most definitely.
So we got 2 for Led Zeppelin. To make it fair, I will also
nice.
I'll make it fair for all the audience. I will also pick Ozzy, even though he's not my number 1, just to keep it fair. Ozzy.
Well, no, we're starting off. We need 8 different bands.
Oh, it's gonna be different. So can't pick Led, can't pick Ozzy. Pick another one, Texas, please.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is okay. Dio, I suppose.
Dio.
Yeah.
Dio.
Yeah.
Oh, wrong bracket.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very broad, and guys. I mean, it's just with myself is pretty much from with the industry that I work in is, I guess every band to me, it's they're artists. They're pretty much their ingenuity in music. It's uncanny. It's hard for me to even pick just one band, or it depends. If you're music literate, then you will understand what I'm talking about. It's pretty much it falls down to that.
Awesome. Great reason for a pick. I guess I will be the next one to pick, right, Chris?
Yep.
Okay, because I'm basing this on history and on what I feel as what I support right now and what I've been supporting for the last 15 years. With no shadow of a doubt, the newest metal band that's rocked Europe and has made the change for Europe for the last 15 years, in my opinion, is Sabaton from Sweden.
Oh yeah, they're pretty cool. Yeah, I know them. Sabaton. Yeah.
All right.
Number 1 band.
I agree. I was listening to them yesterday. I agree. They're badass. Very good band.
Okay, so we got 4 in. Do we pick our second choices now?
Yep, going against Sabaton is another one from across the pond. My pick, Judas Priest.
It'll be Joseph, I believe, next.
Yep, Joseph.
Black Sabbath. I choose Black Sabbath as the number 2 band for my choice. Black Sabbath with Ozzy.
Well, this is how I'm doing it here, because we're doing it in a bracket, and then we're going to discuss the bands, and then we're going to move the bands through the bracket like a NCAA tournament.
You betcha.
So the way I did the first, 4 was I picked Ozzy, Lienna picked Dio, Crazy Joe picked Led Zeppelin, and Troy picked Sabaton. This time, my Judas Priest will go against Troy's Sabaton. Joe's pick will go against Leah's pick. Leah's pick will go against Joe's.
I picked the baddest vocalist, okay? Of all time, Dio, Ronnie James Dio.
I agree with that. He should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well,
Even
see that's
he had Dio's vocals. I mean, even Ozzy said he wanted Dio's vocals.
I mean, Dio's being shortchanged by the Rock and Roll Hall of Scum.
Right. Well, and here in this bracket, we got Dio up against Black Sabbath. So, Leanne, pick a band to go against Led Zeppelin.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Or it's not a band that you know it's better than most that you haven't already picked.
What?
Any band you think is that you haven't picked yet. What you haven't picked, you think is a good band, you know?
Okay. Well, shoot. Oh my goodness. My mind is going blank right now. It's just so many bands in my head that just like,
We'll give you a pause. Joseph, have you already picked your second one? You said
I'm gonna go
Black Sabbath, right?
Yeah, he went with Black Sabbath. So
I guess I have a pick now, right?
Yep.
Well, I'll
your
pick
pick.
Iron Maiden, very good band.
Oh, Iron Maiden. She said Iron Maiden already. So she said Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden, good. I was hoping someone would say Maiden.
Okay.
And then Troy, your pick for who's against
Ozzy. Again, is because of my reasons of loyalty and stuff like that with all the bands and stuff, because of interest and stuff like that. I will put in Powerwolf from Germany.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Now we're gonna go down the bracket to the number one band. First team, Judas Priest versus Sabaton.
Judas Priest.
I'll give a reason why Judas Priest should win, even though Sabaton should win too. Judas Priest is got inducted to the Hall of Fame this year, so I have to say that the lineup, even though I love Sabaton, I myself would say Judas Priest would probably win out on Sabaton. But I think Sabaton is definitely the band for next year, if not the years afterward.
You also have to look at the fact that Judas Priest not only is a band, but it has a different style in every song that they have in every album, including they were more open-minded in their LGBTQ, aspect of it. He had a lot to do with that, and he a lot of people that were, in the gay community could relate to certain songs that he put out there pretty much, so he pretty much catered to everyone. So that made him more broadened in that aspect. If we look at the song, the Behind the Realms, what he's talking about, it's a suicidal song. We all know that. So
I always say people like Rob Halford, Freddie Mercury, David Bowie, they're allowed to do and screw whoever the hell they want.
Most definitely. But you got to understand that back in the day, that was pretty much in the closet. That was pretty much not as broad as it is now.
It was taboo.
Yeah, thanks to them, a lot of people could identify, and that's what made them more broadened in that aspect. They were not just a confined band. There were bands that really people could identify with, and that's what made them even come out even further on atmosphere in the spectrum. So that alone does make him, the Hall of Fame quality as well, because a lot of people could relate to that, politically wise, and also, within that aspect, people could identify with them. I do give that. So of course, Judas Priest, I mean, hands down, obviously.
And Robert Halford was a very sexy young man.
Yeah, he was very handsome.
Yes, he had Ripley muscles.
But he's still handsome. For an older guy, he looks good still.
Yes,
all right. We have Iron Maiden versus Led Zeppelin.
Yes.
Okay, let's put it this way. Okay, with Iron Maiden, let me tell you what happens with Iron Maiden. Okay, Iron Maiden was one of the first band that came out with a type of, if you will, cosplay sort of thing, or a cartoonish type of atmospheric as a storyteller. Okay, people don't understand that Eddie is a character caricature of their music. He was talking about Eddie. He was not talking about the people out there. So whenever he brought out back in the day in the 80s, if you remember, a lot of people were talking about, oh, Iron Maiden, they're satanic because they have this song called 666. Hallowed be thy name, their songs and other songs that they brought out. Most of their songs were not in relation to anyone out there in the public. It was in relation to the character that they were portraying at that given time. But I feel that Iron Maiden was ahead of his time, because they were probably if anything, probably the first bands that came out with a character, that we're talking about this character, this cartoonish type of entity that they brought out within their music. So that makes them unique. To be honest, that makes them unique. When he brought that out, a lot of bands started bringing out in their formats a certain identity individual, very much like let's say Pink Floyd afterwards probably, and which I'm not quite, but a lot of bands started coming out with a character, after Iron Maiden. Most of the bands back in the day, they just showed their pictures, they showed their formats as far as how they dressed, they were if they were glam, if they were heavy metal, but none of them came out like bringing out Eddie, promoting this character that they came up with, this cartoonish type of figure, including within their videos. A lot of their videos consisted of Eddie, like the Hallowed Be Thy Name, or even they even did remakes on their videos of their songs. If you look at their even Ozzy Osbourne now is doing it. If you look at his videos, their recent videos, he's doing this cartoon figure of Ozzy.
Yes.
See,
In fact,
now,
Patient 9 is the one. Patient 9 is the new one, right, Chris? Patient 9.
Yes,
Yeah,
patient number 9.
You notice that it's just a cartoon. It's not even him. It's not. It's not even. It's a person.
That's probably a good thing.
I have some information on who created Eddie. It was Troy who created Eddie. He's satanic.
Well,
He's satanic.
It is my Christian middle name, Edward. My royal middle name given to me by the Catholic Church, even though I'm Buddhist now. And
I think you should let the audience know that you're the one that created Eddie, and you're very satanic. Thank you.
I am.
Now, when these two popped into the bracket together, my heart was all for Iron Maiden right off the bat. But as Lienna was talking, and she made very good points on Iron Maiden, but a lot of the concepts, Led Zeppelin did have back in the day.
Led Zeppelin was before, right? It was a little bit before, just a little bit.
Yes,
before.
and Led Zeppelin was more or less the pioneer of the concept album and the storytelling.
They're both British,
because
right?
they're both British too. Yes, and if you listen to Led Zeppelin's 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're actually listening to J.R. Tolkien.
Okay.
Who's J.R. Tolkien?
Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit.
Lord of the Rings. Yes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yes.
I'm not as educated as you guys,
Dio as well. Dio also is somewhat of a storyteller.
Yes, what we got next turn, Tris? Look what best we got next in the racket. We got Iron Maiden, we got Led Zeppelin. I think we can put a question mark on who wins Iron Maiden and Led Zeppelin. Let's work on that one. What's the next ones we got there, Chris?
Dio and Black Sabbath.
That's gonna be a hard one.
Wow.
To be honest with you, I will go for Dio, and the reason why Dio is if you in his mentality, his format, like I said, he was a storyteller, but he was more mystical. I feel that he was more mystical, even when he was with Elf. He was more mystical in that aspect. I feel that Sabbath was more similar to Led Zeppelin, if you will. It kind of stayed in that era for quite a bit of time, until it transitioned, and it transitioned as well when Ozzy got out of Sabbath at that. I feel, in my opinion, when he got out of Sabbath and went solo with Little Ford and all that, and when Ozzy started being modernized in the 80s, cutting his hair and all of that, that's when Sabbath, Tommy Iommi, and all of them came out with a new album, a new format, but it was not as strong as they were in the beginning when they had Ozzy, given in the 70s, in the Led Zeppelin era. I feel.
Yes.
So
I got a weird question for seeing if we're gonna win. Who's gonna win on Powerwolf versus the other one? Texas. Do you know this question? Armenia. Do you know anything about Armenia at all? There's a legend of werewolves, and this is where a power wolf kind of draws himself in one of their songs. The werewolves of Armenia. Is that a legend of Europe of some kind? The werewolves?
Yeah. Was that yeah.
That's where they come from. Their concept. Their concept is about this vampire, powerful, God sent. These people that are working for God, but they're werewolves. You know, they're power wolf. That's a whole concept. Their whole stick, I guess, is to base it on that concept of Armenia werewolves from the east. You know, so you guys want to go on that one on Terror or whatever? Because I know there's songs like "Demons Are Their Girl's Best Friend" is a one hell of a video. If you guys haven't seen that one, that's up there. So,
I'll look into it.
Yeah, it's pretty sexy. They got these girls in nun outfits. They're dancing around with the singer, mostly, and it's on an author in some kind of church.
Show in Canada. I did a show
actually
of vampires. I did a show in Canada of vampires, and it's pretty similar to the werewolves that you're talking about, but it's more like magic or entities within the realm of spirituality, if you will.
And so they're selling out every night. They're selling out in Germany. They're selling out in Poland. Just right now, the last 3 months, they've been selling out, waiting to go to America. And guess where they're going to in a couple of months? I believe it's New York City.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Lienna. Lienna. When I make love, I turn into a werewolf.
Hey, I'll tell you what, if you make love, I'll turn you into a vampire.
Yeah, I hear that.
Oh, medieval shit going on. I'm sure that Hellfrost would enjoy this interview. Maybe we should have had Hellfrost on here as well. What do you think? Had our demon. Yeah. He's just got signed by Columbia Records. We do. That's one thing about ShopTalk. We've already had 2 releases.
Vorst.
Yes, they are huge. They got signed with Columbia Records. Also, Swan Song getting signed with Noble Demon out in Germany and doing great because I'm promoting the crap out of them. And also, Silver Truth got signed.
I'll tell you what, man, those guys were fucking weird, but I loved them.
Oh, yeah. 4 of our bands we have on here have already got signed this year. Bad Baron, Sober Truce, Swan Song, and of course, Hell Sausage Band. Horse? Call them Horse? Horseman? What are they?
Horse.
Who are they signed with? You know, Swan Song. Are they with? They're not with Nuclear, are they?
Hellfrost is with Columbia Records. Just got signed 3 weeks ago. Swan Songs with Noble Demon. Noble Demon that's funny. You said Nuclear Blast. Noble Demon has a head person that used to run for Nuclear Blast. That's now running Noble Demon out in Germany. It's a 3-year program. He's getting these new artists. And it's basically kind of a backwind from Nuclear Blast.
Well, you know that now the international record labels are getting together and working together, just like Warner Brothers with the CI Records and Reverb Nation. We're all in one A&R. As a matter of fact, we signed a contract in 2019, I suppose, where Reverb Nation was now part of A&R and CI Records. So if you do submit a demo to Reverb Nation, you sign to be picked up by a label to Reverb Nation, chances are Reverb Nation will send your demo to CI and A&R. You have more of a chance to get signed.
That's what my music is anyway. It's not on the cloud. It's not on Spotify. It's been sitting on Reverb Nation for about 8 years since I've had it. So
yeah,
good move though. Good thing is tell artists, get on Reverb Nation. Guess what? Those people that tell you they ain't gonna keep you going, it'll keep you going. Reverb Nation. Yeah, check into it.
I promote.
If you want to sign a deal, you should stay with Reverb Nation because I'm a member and they're always offering me deals to be exposed to different things. So they're legitimate, right?
Oh, they're legitimate.
Than American companies, I hate to say, bro. I mean, come on now. Come on.
Crazy Joe. I'll tell you something. And I'll tell everyone, do what you want to do in this business, this industry. My Uncle Freak, the guy that I try to mold myself after in this industry. He's been doing this since 1982. He's on terrestrial radio in Chicago. He basically has it in his contract that he does whatever the fuck he wants.
There it is.
He drinks while on the air. He does his radio show out of a 1980 GMC cab over studio. He still has to follow the language guidelines, but he
Yeah, I know that.
really pushes it. He says everything he is legally allowed to say, and I mean, he pushes everything. And when I started doing this, the first thing he said to me was, "Don't do it. Don't do it." I'm like, well, dude, I want to stay in this industry, but I'm moving away from this area to a place where this industry really ain't available to me. So I got to find a way to keep myself in it because I love it so much. So his second piece of advice to me, copyright and trademark yourself. Make sure you put, I'm Chronic Chris is copyrighted by myself. My voice, I have copyrights on my voice. People are not allowed to use my voice without my permission. And don't fucking trust anybody.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't trust Eddie.
Well, you shouldn't.
You have to.
He's satanic. He's satanic.
He said if you ever get an offer for like syndicated show or anything, make sure you read your contract and then have your lawyer read your contract. Do not sign anything until it is thoroughly read and explained to you. Because like me doing my show on Asgard Radio, I'm unscripted, uncensored. I say whatever the hell I want, whatever the hell comes to my mind. If I ever decide to join a station or become syndicated or something and sign that contract, then they're going to try to put a script in front of me or try to make me do their topics.
Yeah.
They can't own you if you don't sign. That's how it works. They can keep on saying they own you, but they have no legitimacy. People who could say you suck or you're owned or you're controlled, they could say a lot of things. They could also say, I'm going to give you money until it's in your hands. It's really not in your hands right now.
Exactly.
So
you're right about that. Yeah, you're right about that. But only if you go by the guidelines of the terms and conditions of what you can say in radio. Like I said, like I tell you guys, no explicit content, no racial, nothing that has to do with politics or racial issues, depending on what format you're bringing out. So
now
yes,
you say FCC. You talking FCC regulations? I think that's what Chris is trying to put upon there for the world to see and hear, right? Chris, you're basically talking about FCC regulations that we have.
I'm talking like on your terrestrial radio, local Joe's 95.7. You're not allowed to say fuck that.
Yeah, that's FCC. That's FCC.
That's FCC. You can't say fuck. You can't say shit. You can say damn. You can say piss. You can say shit. There's a lot of things you can say.
Good stuff.
I say it's censorship. Censorship.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
You say censorship all you want. I mean, that's perfectly legal to say.
but as far
damn
as
censorship.
But as far as what I do here and what we do on Asgard, we're in the same boat, Leanne. We don't talk religion, we don't talk politics, and we ask that you just be nice. Don't be a racist dick, don't be homophobic. I mean, you're allowed to have your personal opinion on your time, but when we're on air, we talk about music.
You have to be neutral. You have to address yourself to everyone, and you have to identify. The people have to identify with you, and you have to identify with those people, because you don't only have a certain crowd. You have different religions, different people listening to you, and they want you. They want to hear more about you. You have to be. That's part of marketing. You have to know your tactics. You have to know your approach to these people, and they're going to want to listen to you. They're going to want more of you because you are very talented into where not only are you bringing out there what they want to hear, but yet you're censored, but you do it your own way. You do it your own way.
I have the greatest show of all time ever on the internet, and nobody pays attention to me.
That's why it's the greatest show of all time.
Yeah.
Crazy Joe.
I am the greatest internet show of all time, and nobody acknowledges me. You know how many people I threw off of face crap? About 300 people, because they all ignored me.
Do you have enough ratings?
I got no ratings.
Well, hey, Crazy Joe. Check this out, man. I'm
like an old shipwreck at the bottom of the sea. Yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
I
maybe you need
started
to
with
open up
Asgard Radio 2 years ago. And, Asgard Radio's been on the air for 12 years. Jim started it 12 years ago because he said everything he heard on the radio sucked and he wanted to start his own radio station where he could find the independent bands and the stuff you don't hear on the radio. And that's what we really, truly look for.
That's what we bring.
That's a great idea.
And I started with Asgard 2 years ago.
That's where I need to be.
Now,
That's a great
2 years ago,
Crazy
my
Joe on
first-
Asgard Radio.
my first 6 months, I was going live on Facebook. I was hitting Twitter. I was hitting Instagram. Taking pictures in the studio, making videos. We're live on the air right now, and we're gonna play this, and you got to check out this band and this band. They're going around the local area, because we'd get a lot of bands out of Chicago. Jim's in Northwest Indiana. I moved to Kentucky almost 3 years ago from the outer south suburbs,
Well, God damn,
just south
shit.
of Joliet.
Yeah, I've been in Kentucky. Yeah, I've lived there for a while.
That's my old Kentucky home there. You know what I'm
There
saying?
ain't everything is conveniently located an hour and a half from me. So if I want to go to the show, I either got to sleep in the car, get a hotel room, or drive home at the end of the night. Which driving home at the end of the night for an hour and a half, it don't bother me because I'm amped up from the show. I don't drink,
Yeah.
so
And
I
you're
ain't
very
gotta worry
handsome,
about
too.
that.
Very handsome, very sexy young man.
But also a lot of the bands around here, it's I'm looking for bands that play rock and metal because that's what I really like to listen to. I'll
Yeah,
listen to some country, I'll listen to some bluegrass. I grew up listening to the Grand Ole Opry every Saturday night at Grandma and Grandpa's house.
Well, if you're an entrepreneur, you will direct yourself. I mean, you want to bring back heavy metal. I mean, there's a lot of countries, a lot of hip hop, a lot of R&B, and a lot of reggaeton and all that stuff. But there are labels, there are companies that are endorsing and promoting heavy metal. All we need to
Yes.
do is to market them,
And
to
yes,
give exposure and bring them out there for the public to see, because that is money in the make. That is an investment.
yes,
What
and I
people
get hundreds of emails a week just from new music from bands being released all over the place.
So
exactly.
look,
If you
well, let's look
I
at
don't get nothing.
The four brackets still coming up, but also that. Let's look at the labels. Okay, so the ones I picked, Powerwolf, they're with Napalm Records, and Sabaton's with Nuclear Blast mostly. So most of the time. So even though they're independent, that's my bracket. Let's look at the other bands. What record labels are they with? We got Black Sabbath. Are they with what record label is Ozzy with? Is he still with anything that's just Sharon based? I mean, what are we dealing with these great artists? And how do they come up? I mean, like for instance, Led Zeppelin. How was that the old school? I believe the Sex Pistols was dealing with the same label back in the day. Was that one of the bigger ones out in Britain that brought them up?
Hold on, we're gonna
explore the history of these labels, see how they're working now and how they were working then. Maybe that's another aspect to help artists is to know. For my opinion, I think Nuclear Blast, Napalm Records, Noble Demon, and of course a few other companies out in Europe are doing great. I just haven't seen the push from a lot of the labels here. I see mostly movie making.
Patient Number 9 here was produced by Andrew Watt and released by Epic.
Epic is a good one, and that's been a company that's worked with, I think, Metallica before Metallica, No Way, and there's a few other ones. I think with Interscope, that's what it was. Interscope was working with Metallica, I believe, right? Interscope worked with a few of them, so that's another pick.
Interscope's worked with a lot of different bands, a lot of different genres. Because I believe Rick Rubin started working for Interscope.
Right, it changes things. I mean, that was a change in the genre of music. When Interscope came in, started pushing these bands in a certain direction, it was almost like after MTV died, and I hate to say it, MTV is dead, by the way, guys. When MTV died and stopped playing videos 24/7, they had to figure a way to make money again, and they took the European approach, or maybe the Europeans took their approach. Regardless, bands started being like football teams, and artists started being like players. And so that's just how I've seen it, and it hasn't changed yet. So call me crazy. That's what I think the industry is doing right now. They're reforming, they're regrouping, they're remaking their teams, and they're getting ready for next year. And if you look at Hellfest, it's happening. Look at Hellfest's lineup. It shows American and European artists big time playing on some big field in France.
Yeah, but
Imagine.
I got some shocking news for you. I'm going to revamp the MTV Headbangers Ball and make it Joe's Rock and Roll Power Hour. And how I'm going to do is I'm going to get 30 of you guys to protest in front of MTV Studios, and then we're going to do that like every other week or something. Put the pressure on them, and then the guy's going to come out. The little weasel bastard's going to come out and go, Joe, you're harassing our studio. So we're going to give you a show called your show, Joe's Rock and Roll Power Hour. I hope you choke on it, Joe.
It might happen. I mean, at least they can make a attempt of it. I mean, see what happens. I mean, worst case scenario, you win, and best case scenario, you lose. But here's the thing: MTV's dead. It's dead. It's been dead for 25 years. It is dead. We should accept its death and go on.
Well, you know, I've said it many times before. Beavis and Butthead was the death of MTV.
Yeah.
Bury it.
I
Bury
agree.
the past. Or at least to be.
And then when
My
Beavis
favorite
and
show.
Butthead, well, because then you notice when Beavis and Butthead came back, they didn't watch music videos anymore.
They're watching TV now.
They were watching The Real World and all that other stupid crap that's on MTV now. And do you know the reason?
I love Martin Lawrence, but he's from Germany. He was on for 25 years afterwards.
Do you
Martin
know the
Lawrence.
reason why? Do you know why the reason why Beavis and Butthead were not allowed to watch music videos anymore?
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Too many people wanted money. It was
Money.
all about the money, and too many people wanted it, and it was not efficient for them to play music videos because it would cost them way too much money. Like, did you know that the movie Dazed and Confused, three quarters of the budget for that movie was spent in the first 5 minutes alone? Do you know what it was spent on? Aerosmith, Sweet Emotion.
Oh, wow.
Didn't know, did you?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, it cost them a lot of money to put that song in the film, and it was already a low budget film, but it produced a lot of high profile actors and became a cult classic.
Unfortunately, I hate to talk about the dead, but of course, what made the money for our great fan, Linkin Park? Transformers.
Yeah, Transformers did. Yeah.
And I tell every artist, where are you gonna make money? Video games, commercials, movies, TV appearances, media sells you. Ozzy even said it in his lyrics.
It's all about marketing. It's all about marketing and exposure. It's all about marketing, really. It's if you know,
was a cakewalk that no one took advantage to control. No one cared because they had copyrights and they had property interests. So they just said from 82 to 83, it lasted a little bit. It was an experiment that died on the operation table. Sorry, people.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm.
It's reality. You gotta tell reality to the artists, the world. If you gotta tell them, you can't lie to them.
Yes.
You want them to go and tell them the truth.
And Crazy Joe, that advertising, that goes back to what I was saying. Like, you know, my first 3 to 6 months, I was on Asgard. Every single show, I was hitting Facebook Live, tagging everybody I know, tagging bands, you know, looking for people. And I've actually, you know, in the last, 2 years, we've been doing this almost now, Troy? Yeah, I mean, we've kind of created a following with the YouTube channel and the Asgard station, and it's been fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's worldwide. And that's why I like. Everyone says support local artists. How about support yourself? Go international.
And I was really surprised, and I haven't heard from this guy in a while, but I just thought of him the other day, and I'm gonna look him up and send him a message, make sure he's still okay. But we had a listener in Western Africa. Like, he hit me up on Facebook Messenger. Hey man, big fan of the show, big fan of the station, blah blah blah. Glad I can listen to you when I'm able to get signal and service here. And I was like, dude, that's fucking awesome. We got a listener in Africa.
That is awesome. Yes, it is. It's awesome.
Yeah,
But-
listeners all over the world. That's the beautiful thing is when you can see the numbers, it's real. It isn't something you can just BS about. When you have the numbers and we can reach you, is you can reach us. That's
But-
what it's all about. It's about the shop talk. It's about being
gotta get
behind the scenes.
I gotta get some listeners on 125th Street and Lenox Avenue in Uptown Harlem and shit.
Well, you're gonna get some listeners after tonight.
Definitely.
I guarantee it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Bronx, yo, the Bronx and shit.
Hey, also, Crazy Joe. You know what else I do?
What?
Let's see. I don't have
You
any
spin
handy with me
music,
right
know
here.
that.
I don't
You
think.
spin
but,
music, Chris. You spin a lot of music. From
I do, but also I make stickers.
Oh, okay. Spin and stick. Spin and stick.
I make stickers that I go out and I'll stick them on a light post, on a traffic sign. Make sure I'm getting the word out. When I go to shows, I'll go with the stack of like 50 to 100 business cards and just hand them out.
Xerox used to do that a lot. Xerox,
Yeah.
they used to do that a lot.
Your own self billboard there, Chris. That's the way it is. There's advertisers your own mouth and your own mind.
Exactly, and you can never go wrong with too much advertisement.
That was
Yeah.
You know what I do? I give everybody the Mooney when I'm promoting the Crazy Joe show in the concert. I just pull my pants down.
And then before or after they arrest you.
I got busted several times for indecency.
I imagine. You gotta realize I'm also a comic, Joe. I think I got you outgunned here. I got my DJ, my artist, comical comebacks.
Well,
I'm sorry,
I'm proud to say I've never been busted for my namesake. So
They didn't arrest you for calling you Chronic. Chronic, we're arresting you for Chronic.
no, I'll tell you what. I've been popped for everything else back in the day. Like I say, my 20s were my roaring 20s. We had a lot of fun. We got in a lot of trouble, but never got busted for Chronic.
I guess my problem with Facebook is my problem with all my life. I've never been busted for always been a trespasser of other people because I believe this world is too damn small. You're going to bump into people. That's just reality. And if you're in the media business, if you don't know how to talk to people, you don't know. Why the fuck are you in this business?
Right.
You have to talk to people you don't know all the time. We got to build relationships. We got to make networks. That should be principle number one for most artists and for most media people when they want to get out there. Get their stuff done.
And I'll tell you what, and everyone everyone, a lot of people know this about me. I'm not afraid to tell it how it is. When I hear a song, if it's a good song, if it's a great song, all right, I'll dig it. I'll put it on the air. If it's mediocre or shitty, and there's bands that that release good songs. And then all of a sudden they get one that compared to everything else they've released so far, it just sucks.
Yeah.
And I'll be when a band does something like that, releases 4 or 5 really good songs, and then one that sucks, I'll be a little blunt. Sorry, compared to everything else you played so far, that sucks.
But they do that. They do that to sell an album. That's pretty much they do that. They'll have a good song and they'll put it in a shitty album, and and people have to buy that album, because of that good song. It's a publicity stunt. It's a marketing stunt.
Right.
Well, maybe the good example would be that it sucked. You could always have Weird Al Yankovic redo it. So
right. Well, because me and my wife were talking the other day because we actually watched this thing on Alanis Morissette, and she packed all of her hits onto one album.
Oh yeah.
And then had nothing really to come back with. And that's when, she kind of faded out, did a couple albums to finish off her contract with the record company. And then she went on to acting.
Well, not all artists are marketeers, right? They're artists sometimes, and that's it. I mean, Prince, unfortunately, didn't know the game. And our good friend Peter kind of gave us an example of all the different problems he had dealing with it. But you know what? He'd go in the rain when it was pouring and say, screw it. It's Super Bowl Sunday. I'm going to play this show. Right. So some people were determined to look at the larger picture in the marketing aspect.
I'll tell you what, after we were done, I went straight to YouTube and I watched that performance. And I'm sorry, I kind of fast forward through a bunch of it just because I wanted to see that guitar like in action.
What do you think? Was he right about the performance?
Oh my God, I gotta say that was like one of the best Super Bowl performances like throughout history. I mean, and they've had some good artists, and in my opinion, I don't think the Super Bowl halftime show should have world-renowned recording artists.
Mm-hmm.
And they always put in like the biggest artist, or the biggest artist of whatever genre they can fit in.
Wait, can I intervene for a second? Twisted Sister, Dee Snider, has outspoken, and he was threatened actually by groups of these fans, of these rap groups or whatever. But he said basically that they haven't done rock and roll since 1998 or 97. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's no rock and roll at the Super Bowl show. So this is something that we need to fight for, is to bring real rock and roll bands back into the picture instead of these criminals with criminal records performing at the Super Bowl. Oh, goddamn thugs.
Now, Snoop Dogg did the performance last year, and he does not have a criminal record. He was accused of stuff, but Snoop Dogg has never been found guilty of anything.
True. And I'll go a little further.
And I love Snoop.
I'll take Crazy Joe's. I will take Crazy Joe and I will raise him. I will actually support his view in some respect, but maybe put it in the context of what we were talking before. When it came to Prince, when he was still alive, he made a Super Bowl appearance. He made a great performance, rock-wise, metal-wise. That was the right way of saying that. Was one of the better ones lately. As for metal, rock, if any band was to do that now, why not Powerwolf? Why not Sabotage? Why not Judas? There's a lot of points you could put on those bands, and we have a bracket again we're trying to work on. So let's think about the bracket too, Chris. We still have this bracket we want to work on. So
yes, well, here's what I was saying. Is back in the day, they for the halftime show, they actually had high school and college marching bands.
Back in the day,
that did the halftime shows, and I think if they're gonna do something, they should do something like that.
But it's marketing now. You got Pepsi, you got Coca-Cola, you got all these big advertisers. They put millions, if not almost $1 billion in advertisement to funnel and have their agenda thrown out, be the best commercials on the planet. So I think that those days are pretty much done. You're gonna always have some kind of big shot type artists on the halftime show. It doesn't seem like they're going to change that ever. You got no MTV. Come on, it's the only one day of the year you actually see an artist play music in America.
Well, as long as you have hip hop and rap music and all that crap, there's never going to be any great music being played at the Super Bowl or any other. I mean, everything is the culture in the United States, especially in New York where I live. It's rap everywhere. Rap. Rap is not even real music unless Biggie Smalls did it. That was good music.
Yeah, it's because a lot of labels now.
My brother Biggie Smalls.
Crazy Joe, and that I gotta say honestly, that all depends on where you're looking. I'm almost 100% positive that there is a good rock and metal scene in New York.
Well, I think it's in Queens.
Granted, nowadays a lot of like this pop and hip hop is what people are really trying to push. But I guarantee you, anywhere you go, I can find a metal scene in the country music capital of the world, Nashville, Tennessee. I have found it.
I think Queens, you were from Queens, right, Crazy Joe? And so Queens does have a metal scene, to my knowledge, even a punk scene, I believe, with a few good bands, because I am a punk metalist.
Mostly Long Island is my scene. I mean, Queens is where I was born and raised. But
Long Island, that's also in music. A good friend, Michael, we've had on the show. So, yes.
Long Island has always been the great, for New York, has always been, all the rock stars come from Long Island. Twisted Sister, I call them Twisted Mother. You know, Zebra, they were from New Orleans, but they made it big in Long Island.
Yes,
So Long Island is definitely the capital of rock and roll music here in the tri-state area of New York.
Yes, I agree 1000%. Even though I'm not there, I agree with you by every statistic.
Well, because you're very intelligent and you got a brain.
Well, we just do our homework here on Shop Talk International. I'm sure that Chris also does his homework, even though he does love the Chronic, or he is Chronic Chris.
Oh wow.
You know?
Oh yeah, fucking. And I was gonna say, dude, I've always been a huge Twisted Sister fan. Ever
I call him
since
Twisted Mother.
I mean, you're right. Dee Snider has always been very outspoken. He's the one musician who actually went up in front of Congress and gave like the most intellectual, intelligent speech ever. Him and Frank Zappa.
Fuck yeah, Frank Zappa.
The way both of them went up in front of Congress. You know, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's true.
That was beautiful. And in fact, you know what? Since you mentioned that today, not only copying this and sharing it later as we're done with the editing process that we always do with Shop Talk and with Asgard Radio, we hear with Chris. I'm definitely going to find a clip or two on YouTube and share the living shit out of that interview, because that was right. Dean Schneider really did give it to him in Congress. That was awesome back in the day.
Wait, hold on, because like I said, I've been playing with stuff here, and let me. I can make this disappear again.
Okay.
Okay.
Always playing around with stuff. I like this. Yeah, it's been one hell of a year. I want to thank you guys for showing up. I have to go through the brackets though. Let's see what we got for the brackets. We got a few more bands we still on the list, right, Chris? So
now we're going back to the brackets. I just got this pulled up.
I get the brackets when you're ready. Okay. Oh yeah, I got you. I see what you're saying here. So what he's basically doing is he's showing us a YouTube aspect, right there, Chris?
Yep.
And we're gonna basically go in and we're gonna check out. This is very Tim Poolish like. I don't know if you guys ever seen Tim Pool. Anyone seen Tim Pool? The TV the podcast. It's a political podcast. What he's doing is basically he's running up and he's just kind of showing some stuff to our viewers and showing some stuff live, and we'll record. Yeah. So commercial here. Roll the tanks, by the way.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, yes. So much advertisement. There it is. There's the interview. Thank you, Chris. Dean Schneider from Twisted
Mother.
Is still in the courtroom of the Congress committee. He's now going to take the oath, I believe.
Yep, and he went up against former vice president's wife, Tipper Gore, and the PMRC over the song Under the Blade, which was about another band member's surgery. And he basically called her out, saying if she's looking for sadism and masochism, and that's what she found.
And you can all see it on this side because we're using these effects to show you history. This is history in the making, people. Dean Schneider from Twisted Sister. Yeah,
Twisted Mother.
What he basically did was he was able to open up a dialect of where we stood versus the law when it came to censorship in music and rights. Right, Chris, pretty much?
Yep. Because of this basically was the Congress or the Senate hearing that basically put the explicit content parental advisory label on albums.
We're talking, what, 93 or so?
Oh, no, this was back in the 80s.
Like 88 or something? We got a date. Let's see if we can find a date on that one. I know that there was a Tipper Gore, Jello Biafra, was it a Two Live Crew interview they did on the Oprah show that was really trying to debate it with Tipper Gore and them and do the censorship rating concept.
What year did Dee Snider go in front of Tipper Gore in Congress?
I think it was 88. I'm just guessing here. I could be
85.
wrong. Very close. 3 years before. Damn it.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the band called Two Live Jew with the Hebrew singer in there?
Sure. Anyway, basically,
I've actually played them on the station every once in a while. One of my things is, when I was a kid, I listened to the radio because of the DJs that I wanted to listen to, like Casey Kasem. I love Casey Kasem, especially his voiceover, Scooby-Doo, all that shit. Rick Dees, he did the song Disco Duck way back in the day. but one of my
Ooh.
all-time favorites to listen to was Dr. Demento. And I've actually tried to make contact with the Barry Weiss estate, because I try to do a Dr. Demento tribute once in a blue moon. I'll do a Dr. Demento tribute show, and I'll play 2 Live Jews.
Yes. But anyway, basically on those 2 aspects in the 85 era, I guess. And this again, I want to clarify for everyone, we were trying to do this biop of music before we get into reality of current events. 82, there was no MTV. As Sammy said, Hagar. In 83, MTV became reality. And that changed the idea of celebrityism, fame. If you're a rock star, if you're a mega rock star, that whole
Actually, Troy, MTV actually first aired, I believe, in March or April of 1981.
But they got big in 83, he said. For some reason, 80 is where they got big. Like they might have started there, but it took them a 2-year gap period, just like the Daily Show, to get big. And once they got big, it was over. So 83, I think, was a blockout year. 85, this occurred. So that only took them 2 years to decide that censorship was important after MTV and music became a forefront in politics and social media.
See,
in their era, because they didn't have a internet, they didn't have digital, they didn't have any of this. This is all analog, this is all radio, this is all TV. This was a different media.
Well,
this is go back 30 years. That's a whole different eras of how
here's the thing about this, though, and this is something that just popped into my head. What we see on TV today, and it's young girls in them short shaking their ass over a cologne. Yes. That's the kind of shit that Tipper Gore and the PMRC was actually fighting against happening.
Now they'd be actually fighting for it because they want to sell more stuff. How they would change so quickly at an old age just to make some money and power. Yeah.
It's just something that popped into my head. I mean, granted, that's not the exact thing they were fighting for. They were fighting against musicians when they should have been going after the advertisement companies and the TV and the network and all that.
That's where they get their support. That's what lobbyists are for. I mean, they're literally killing themselves to do that.
Right.
That's where all their money comes from. I'm sorry, people. We're giving you too many truths. If you get tired of us, you can always go over to YouTube and check out our dear friend. What I really like right now? I mean, seriously, he was a great actor, but I got to promote this guy because in England, they need somebody of a hero. And Mr. Brand, he's doing it, man. I mean, Russell Brand is definitely, he's doing it. I got to give credit to that guy. This year, I don't know if he just he doesn't care anymore. He just tells the truth. And I know he can get killed for this stuff, but dude, you got to give that guy credit, man. He is just throwing it out there, man. What do you think, Chris? I mean, we're going to be political, but for celebrities from the 80s, 90s, and now, and saying, I'm just going to make a gauntlet. I'm going to call it as it is. And we're guys just trying to get started. This guy's been doing it for a long time. He's saying, this is the way you do it. I mean, come on. Good example of the truth, man. Gotta give it up for that guy this year. I'm gonna give for political analysis. I was gonna give it to Tim Pool. He's kind of fighting for his life. People want to kill him. I have to give it to Russell Brand. Russell Brand, 2020.
I knew it.
I gotta give it for that. That's my favorite political talk show host. Even Joe Rogan, they were good back 2 years ago. Tim Pool the year before, but this year I have to give it to Russell Brand, best political podcaster of the year, in my opinion.
How did Joe Rogan get so famous? He's not even that talented.
Podcast, M&A. He likes to smoke weed on the air. I don't know.
It's actually kind of boring.
$200 million later on Spotify, going around in a circle in an RV in Austin, Texas, if I found out.
Honestly, I really don't listen to too many. I really don't listen to podcasters. If I'm listening to something, if I got something playing in my ear, I want it to be some music.
True. But if we have sports analysis, we got to have music analysis. And so in the music aspect or a celebrity aspect, I think we all have a role to play to give out the story for the artist. I mean, it can be more of a digest of like we're doing like who is the best of 16 best Sweet 16 artists in metal, to whatever in rock or movies or whatever. I mean, that's something that has to be done. I mean, if you're not testing the waters and looking to see what's good and bad now, what kind of music are we going to have in the future for the kids?
Exactly.
When we're 105,
I
we're
agree.
old. I'm saying.
Yeah, but you would listen to my
Someone
podcast.
for our music.
Well, here's
Yeah, I think it's all for it.
here's the messed up thing is, some of these bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers just came out with a
Good
new
example.
album this last year, right?
Great example.
But they have music that is basically considered classic rock.
True. And Peter probably would agree with that.
But yet they're still making new music. And that's where, people get fucked. I'm going to say they get fucked up in their broadening of genres, because I don't think 90s music is classic rock.
To some people,
I don't
30
think-
years.
No, it's
classic.
not. It's not classic rock.
Well, it's
To me,
30 years. 30 years. You call a car after 20 years a classic, right? Or is it 30 years? When do you call a car a classic?
I think it's like 20 or 25 years.
It's 30 years, bro. What are we going to call it? When did Kurt Cobain die? 95-ish? 97?
94.
94? So just do the math. 6 by 22.
April 19th, 94.
So in 2 more years, his death and his music will be considered classical music in 2 years.
I think Biggie Smalls is classic rock.
that is
Well,
crazy.
when did he come out? When did he die?
Oh, he died, 97, 98?
5 years. Classical music.
Oh,
Sorry.
wow.
That's how we depict our cars. Can we depict our music the same? I mean,
And I think Mozart is classic rock too, and Beethoven.
almost definitely.
See now, and when I say I listen to all genres, I actually have a folder in my files, old school hip hop, which is full of like Biggie Smalls and NWA and Tupac and shit like that.
Yeah. The American culture, rap. Can't find it in Europe,
Yeah.
but it's playing all the time. And everyone's going, why we play rap? It's your culture music. Accept it, America. You created rap and it is yours forever.
Yeah, they didn't create it in Europe, right?
No, it was never from Europe. Rap was never from Europe. Rap is an American thing. You earned it. It is yours. Live with it.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it might have been, derivative from like a lot of our music, even our rock and roll is derivative from the African music. The first actual person to shred on a guitar was a black woman in church playing some old bluesy African music.
Oh,
But that's
wow.
Africa. That's not inner city. Okay, so like you take an African, let's take Treble Nova from South Africa. He comes to the Bronx, right? He meets an American Africanian that's lived here all his life. His people's lived here all their life. They might have been slaves, whatever. You talk to any African who's been born and raised in Africa, they come to America, it's a culture shock for them, a real culture. And I'm not just talking the language, it's a culture shock for most Europeans or Africanians of today to come to America. They freak the fuck out.
All right.
I know, I've talked to them a lot. I work with a lot of people like that. They go, dude, you don't understand. We don't, ooh. It's a difference. There's a huge difference between the music from here, the music from there, and the music how it developed. I mean, you could say it was blues, you could say it was rock, you could say it was tribal music. I could say it was bass lines from Mongolia, or violins from Austria. You know what I mean? I could say rock came from here and there and here and there, but rock came from a lot of places. It was worldwide. To say it was here or there would be a lie. It came through a lot of vices, and I hate to say it, it mostly in the modern aspect of rock and roll came from England with the Beatles and with Sex Pistols and with Led Zeppelin and with Iron Maiden. It came from Europe. Okay, rap came from America. It was an inner city thing. Okay,
and that's what I'm saying. A lot of our music in America, there's because of the way America is such a melting pot of culture and society in the world. We take stuff from other cultures and Americanize it, and that's how we get American things.
Yeah, but you can't control that American thing. That American thing is controlled by its own action, its own actuality. So when you say it's a melting pot, yes, but it's not a negative or a good thing. It does not allow for any other culture. So when I say rap is an American thing, that is truly what it is. Do you hear rap in German? Do you hear rap in French? Do you hear
can do rap in German. You stand by this day. You stand by that. You don't die. You don't feel me.
Now,
I don't feel
now,
I
now.
don't feel
let me get back into. Look, I'll explain it here for you. They have their own rap, but it's not the same way Americans hear rap because our style of rap is very different. I've listened to some German rap before, and
Really?
I've listened to actually Mexican rap,
Okay.
and it sounds a lot like German rap. Sounds a lot like metal. But
Have you heard of mumbo rap? Have you heard of mumbo? That's the new one, mumbo.
Mumbo, okay.
To anyone who listens to mumble rap, you're not listening to music. and I'm actually quoting Snoop Dogg when I say that. That shit ain't music.
That shit ain't music. Is it auto-tuned to 11? Get that auto-tuned
mumbo.
Please.
I mean,
mumbo number 5.
I can mumble all day long. Ozzy fucking mumbles when he talks all day long, but when he sings, he has a voice that comes out clear as an angel.
People do not do what I'm about ready to depict.
Do not eat that. Do not eat that.
That's America for you. That's America, in my opinion.
I was gonna say
America, in my opinion. Sorry. That's why I'm going to Europe.
I was going to say real rock comes from Fred Flintstone.
Where?
That's stone rock. But we were talking like the Grateful Dead.
Oh, they did have the bedrock.
Stoner rock.
The bedrock. Yeah, stoner rock.
Yeah, bro. Come on, let's talk about the man. I mean, when he died, we had a few evolutions when Grateful Dead. We were talking about this before, last Shop Talk, right, Chris? But how Grateful Dead had a few evolutions.
They carried on, but they never went on as the Dead. They went on as the Dead, or they never went on as the Grateful Dead. They went on as the Dead or Dead and Company, Dead and Company with John Mayer. Unfortunately, I never got to see them with Jerry Garcia, but I did get to see them as Dead and Company with Bob Dylan and Joan Osborne, which was, oh my God, fucking amazing.
So that's what I think we're doing, as well as doing Shop Talk. We're kind of giving people's conversation pieces, but these are things most artists talk about. Like we're answering like questions of what's up with Pantera. Like, should Zakk Wylde be in the band? Of course, he's in the band now. But back a few months ago, we're going, would this even happen? Would it be a tribute band or a real band? And we're still debating the issue.
If you know what, and I've actually done my research and I've actually asked opinions, and granted, I've seen Damage Plan in concert, so I've been able to see Diamond Vinny together on stage. I never got to actually see Pantera. Growing up, I was a teenager in the 90s, and it was kind of, I grew up in foster care and, shit like that. So I didn't really get to have, concerts and stuff, but I did get to go to my biological grandmother's to watch the Grand Ole Opry every Saturday night. And that was pretty much my experience to music up until I was like 16, 17, when I got to listen to metal and shit like that. I loved it. But if Vinny was alive, and this is quoting like a lot of people that knew Dime and knew Vinny, if Vinny was alive, this wouldn't happen.
Right. And the reason being that he would have seen it a little differently in his view.
And people, that people that know, they said, did you notice, Vinny or Phil never really did too many Pantera songs as long as Vinny was alive. But like a week after Vinny died, he started doing Pantera songs in his show. So it's all about, trying to get attention for Phil, and whatever. I don't know. Don't quote me on all of this, but
hey, I don't want to call my own death out, but if I died, I'm sure there's like 33 members of my band that probably play independently of my choosing my songs and clarifiably name it whatever they want to, because that's what people do.
Well, in
They're
one person's opinion,
That's just how it
in
is.
one person's opinion, not mine, it's a money grab for Phil.
I think it's a human thing, though. I'm maybe I'm more of a psychologist or sociologist. I take myself out of the element. Like if I see a fight between Bruce Dickinson and Sharon Osbourne about how they do not like each other and see how real it is, that's not my fight. My fight is what's the legacy of these bands for other people to listen to for many thousands of years if we survive as a species. You know, how much relevancy do they really have in music?
Well, they don't like each other.
Yeah, as a journalist, I'm trying to depict what is the real scale. Again, we should go back to the brackets. We have a few more bands, Chris. Do we want to analyze? Yes.
Oop, wrong button. Let's
Bracket
pull it up
time.
here.
Are you guys interested?
No.
Do you like the bracket idea? If you do, please leave comments at the YouTube bottom. I know we don't usually ask, but if you could, please sponsor also Chris Nest until we get our own page all set up for next year. Please support ShopTalk International Interviews, and of course, Asgard Radio by supporting Chris, Chronic Chris Ness, on this YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Got you a little segue there.
Hey, where's
There
my
we
honey
go.
out there? Where's it
All
here?
right.
My honey.
So,
Hey, can you hear me, guys?
next
I
on the
hear you. I
bracket.
love you.
Yes, we can still hear you.
Great. I'm right here. Like I'm listening
I
to
want
it.
to kiss you. I want
So-
to kiss you.
All right, hold on, Crazy Joe. We're gonna get the brackets going.
In the
Okay, we got
brackets,
the
we
two
have
teams.
Black Sabbath versus Dio. I want to go with Dio on that because, granted,
Anyway,
Dio was with Black Sabbath, but it wasn't the same with Dio.
Mr.
Yeah.
Crazy Joe, what do you think of Dio versus Black Sabbath? You picked Black Sabbath.
Well, Black Sabbath with Ozzy, how can you dispute the wonderful career that Ozzy had? I mean, everything came out after Ozzy was kicked out of the band. Then Dio, they had Gillum, they had this singer, that. But nobody can touch Ozzy, and that's the way I feel about it. He was already an established star with Sabbath. I don't care who took his place. I'm going to go with Sabbath because of Dio. I'm sorry, because of Ozzy.
He's kind of like the ringer on that one. I got you. Chris, your pick, Dio versus Black Sabbath.
I'm going with Dio because Dio was just amazing. He was a visionary, and we have Ozzy in another category.
But they're both different.
Right.
They're both different in their own
Okay,
right.
let's go back to the Black Sabbath. Let's go with War Pigs and Pantera. The main songs that the Pantera was made because of the corporate reasons, right, Chris? War Pigs was what they wanted to call the album, but they eventually called it the whole idea of paranoid concept. The paranoid concept was a little different than like even any other band. They had to make that song because of the time limit of being something between under 3 minutes or something. They didn't want War Pigs as being the album for Black Sabbath. They wanted they wanted Paranoid, right? There, Chris?
I believe so, yeah.
So that was
I know there was all kinds of bullshit with it. I'm gonna start rereading I Am Ozzy again.
Okay, so your vote from Texas, would it be Dio or would it be Black Sabbath? And I will give my vote right afterwards.
Okay. With Ozzy, it's a totally different spectrum. But
Okay.
when Black Sabbath went solo and Ozzy went solo, of course I would say Dio, most definitely, hands down. You know, it's a different. It's hard to say because they're not the same in the same realm. They're both different in their own way. It just like your co-host says that Dio was a visionary. He was a visionary. You know, his artistry was very unique as well as Ozzy Osbourne. You know, but if you pick Black Sabbath on its own with Tommy Iommi when they first started coming out with Tommy Iommi, very aside from Ozzy and Dio, they didn't really have that much of publicity, or they didn't really make it as well as they did with Ozzy, including Dio. So I would say, of course, Dio at this point.
Awesome. And I think we're going to get a special guest rock star to make that call if I tie out. And that'd be Steve Unger, might be on the show tonight, guys.
Awesome.
And then from Metal Church, and from right now, he's still playing with
Autograph.
I love Metal Church. Oh my God, they're awesome.
Well, this one,
yeah.
I think even Steve Unger cannot beat. And for the third vote, I will pick Black Sabbath, mainly because I have studied Black Sabbath, and when it comes to art and the overall look of pictures, people are going to remember Ozzy and Black Sabbath for all the Ozfests, all the videos they did, all the music and all the movies. Dio was in one of my favorite movies of all time, and that's The Pick of Destiny from Jack Black, and of course Tenacious D. But just by a ringer, I have to give it to Black Sabbath.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're stuck on it. Okay, we're stuck on it.
And I love Dio. I love
dropping
Dio.
this damn thing.
I love
Hold
Dio,
on.
by the way.
I gotta make
Priest
some
has
adjustments
beaten
here.
Sabotage. Dio has beaten Black Sabbath. We still got Powerwolf versus Ozzy. We still got Iron Maiden versus Led Zeppelin. Let's start with going to the other side. How about we start with Iron Maiden versus Led Zeppelin? Anyone wants to go first? Chris, what do you want? Who wants to go first?
I'm gonna say.
You saying Iron Maiden? Pick them. Yeah, that's from Texas. Got one for Iron Maiden. Chris,
I'm gonna say Led Zeppelin.
Got two. We got a tie here. 1-1. Iron Maiden. One for Iron Maiden. One for Led Zeppelin. Crazy Joe.
Led Zeppelin.
Okay. 2 for Led Zeppelin. I'm going for Iron Maiden. We got a tie. We need Steve Unger to break this tie. Okay. So we have a tie on that one. We need Steve Unger to break the tie. I'll either get the tie result from Messenger or we'll get it from here. I'll probably just call him up and see if he'll answer, and just to get the answer from him. How's that guy sound, guys?
Yeah.
All right.
Call that bastard up.
Oh, yes, we are. Calling him up now. We're just going to try to get that final vote in. Waiting for Steve Unger. If not, we'll call another artist. We'll maybe call Robert. Anyone knows German? Anyone know German?
Can you speak it
clearly? Can you speak it to Joyce, right? Okay, so you don't speak to Joyce. Okay.
All right, well, we got Powerwolf and Ozzy.
Okay, well, we'll try so we can decide on that one first. Okay.
We got 2 for Ozzy.
Got 2 for Ozzy? Well, I picked Powerwolf. Where are you going with this one, Chris?
Well, I'm going with Ozzy. I think Lienna said Ozzy too.
Yeah.
Okay, so bracket 4, we got Judas Priest, we got Black Sabbath and Ozzy. We're still trying to make a play for Led Zeppelin and Iron Maiden. I'll make it easier for the group since I don't want to call anywhere else. I'm going to give it to Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin's in with Priest. We're now on what is it called? The Final Four.
We didn't pick between Dio and Black Sabbath. That was at a tie.
No, we did. We got Black Sabbath. I made the final vote on that one. Black Sabbath won. So we got Black Sabbath, Ozzy, Judas Priest, and Led Zeppelin.
Wait.
So I changed my vote so we can get it going. So
I thought me and Lienna were at Dio and you and Crazy Joe were at Black Sabbath.
No, I think we got Black Sabbath carried across the finish line on that one. I guess. I mean, we'll answer again. Texas, did you want Black Sabbath over Dio, or do you still want to keep Dio?
Dio.
Okay, we do have a tie. We have a tie between Dio and Black Sabbath. Because there's a tie, I will pick Dio. Dio won. So sorry, Black Sabbath. Dio versus Ozzy. Priest versus Led Zeppelin. We're on Final Four. Bring on Dio over.
Led Zeppelin.
We're gonna have to rack you out to Tony Iommi.
Oh, hold on, I did something here.
So Dio will take over. We got Led Zeppelin on the fourth bracket too. So Priest versus Led, Dio versus Ozzy. Which one should we fight first on? The Priest versus Led or Dio versus Ozzy?
Between Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin.
She's taking Led Zeppelin over Priest already. That's the first vote.
Well, yeah, because
Chris, you got Priest versus Led Zeppelin. I think you said Led Zeppelin, didn't you?
Yeah. Wait, I did? Oh my God.
You said Led Zeppelin over Priest, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did. I changed
Crazy Joe, what do you want? Led Zeppelin or Priest?
Zeppelin.
Shit.
I got 2 in Led Zeppelin. Crazy Joe, you're the final one. I'm gonna go Led Zeppelin too. If you say Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
All right, there it is. Led
Right
Zeppelin
on.
is now in the final round. We now have Dio versus Ozzy Osbourne for the final round for those two. Please
Gee,
pick
that's kind of tricky.
Dio
I'll
versus
go
Ozzy.
for Dio. I'll go for Dio.
Dio.
Yeah.
Crazy Joe.
Ozzy.
1 for 1. Chris.
Ozzy.
I have
Yeah.
to make the final vote. Ozzy Osbourne beats Dio again. We're at Led Zeppelin versus Ozzy Osbourne. Final round. Deathmatch. Who do we got? Let's stack up the contenders before we vote. Led Zeppelin, the history of their life, and Ozzy Osbourne with his time with Black Sabbath. Let's look over the first place. Let's go for the oldest one first, and the youngest one later. Led Zeppelin they would start longer before Ozzy, right? Correct, Chris? Or did Ozzy
no. Actually, Led Zeppelin, Ozzy was at a club and he heard Roger Plant and Jimmy Page and John Bonham. He heard them all on stage, and they were all, they all knew each other from the local music scene way back in the 60s. And he thought that they were the new Yardbirds. And the DJ or the promoter or whoever, he's like, no, that's actually Led Zeppelin. So Led Zeppelin actually got big before Black Sabbath. Led Zeppelin is older than Black Sabbath.
We're talking a longer history, a longer time in the studio, a longer time doing their stuff. Let's go over to the songs with Led Zeppelin. One of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs we probably all know in high school, Stairway to Heaven, correct?
The Forbidden Riff.
Song. The immigrant song. I think that's one of the best.
The immigrant song. Okay.
Now, can I say something? Because everyone always likes to bring up, whenever we talk Led Zeppelin, there's always the one with the immigrant song. And don't get me wrong, I love Led Zeppelin. They're fucking awesome. They're amazing musicians. But fuck the immigrant song.
I didn't like that song.
My buddy has a goal to go to every NFL stadium before he dies. And I happened to go to a Chicago Bears and Minnesota Vikings game at the Triple H Dome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. First off, it was fucking cold. There was 10 feet of snow on the ground. I didn't mind that so much. But the game was inside the dome. And it was still actually cold inside the dome when we figured it would be warm. But we were up in the nosebleed seats, so we actually found this pillar we could go behind to smoke and shit.
Right.
Plus I met these Canadians that had shrooms and beer they didn't want to drink. And, Canadians are just awesome and like to share. So I sat there getting fucked up with these Canadians. But every 2.5 to 3 minutes, they played the intro to the immigrant song.
Oh my God.
And by about halftime, I wanted to break that fucking speaker.
Okay, I got the exact date. They formed 1968, okay, in London. Now, I'm going to go back to Black Sabbath times, because even though you said about Ozzy, let's go back to Black Sabbath times. So that's 1968 in London. Again, let's compare. And even though we're comparing with Black Sabbath, I'm only comparing because that's Ozzy's career, and that's where it all started, right? So, holy crap, can you say the same year, 1968? They both came out technically the same period of time.
Yes, it was within the same year, but Led Zeppelin was first.
Exactly.
But that much. But here's the thing. I don't think it's even about placement of time. I think we got to look at the overall career. And if I was doing a death match like they do with videos when it comes to action characters, let's look at the stats. Ozzy Osbourne has a festival named after him.
Yes.
Ozzy Osbourne has been a celebrity on both TV, on multiple TV shows.
Ozzy Osbourne, that's what I was going to say next is look how much Ozzy has done for the rock and roll community and the metal industry, keeping it alive with Ozzy.
I mean, the president of the United States acknowledged Ozzy. That's incredible.
Yes. George W. Bush made the joke, Ozzy, Mom loves your stuff. But I mean,
goes to Ozzy Osbourne.
granted, they do have a lot of Led Zeppelin tribute bands and stuff, but I mean, all these festivals that you see nowadays, like Not Fest and Chicago Open Air, that promote all these metal bands. You know, the reason he started Ozfest was because Lollapalooza called him a dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he said, call me a fucking dinosaur. I'll show you a fucking dinosaur. Hear my T-Rex roar, bitch.
Just so you guys know, and we could edit this out if we have to, but I don't think we would have to because I think Steve Ugar's pretty cool with everything.
You know, I'm
He
not
just
going to.
He would have answered, but he was a little fucked up. I think he's watching the Seahawks get their ass kicked by Kansas City. I don't know. Just saying. They might be winning. He takes shots when they score a touchdown. So are they winning? I don't know.
My favorite Led Zeppelin song is "Your Time Is Gonna Come."
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that song, by the way. Nothing wrong.
Great song.
Great song.
It's a pretty good
You know what I
song.
mean? It's like a country song, country rock song, like Neil Young, something like that.
Well, if you're on a horse and it's a slow but cold day in Texas somewhere, and the wind's in the back, you want to listen to a song, that might be a song in particular that time. Headphones you want to push play on.
Like I said, whatever extra.
I agree with you there, Crazy Joe. I think you might be right. You might have something there. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, I think it's more musical than the Immigrant Song and the other ones you listed. And Stairway is played out. It's horrible.
Fool in the Rain.
Yeah. Everybody knows who plays that song whenever they play it, so they already know that's who played out.
In the Evening is also a great song. Very I don't know. It just got something to it. In the Evening.
Yeah.
Right. But I'll tell you what, name one Ozzy song that's overplayed or burnt out. And I mean,
Bark at the Moon. Bark at the Moon.
Crazy Train. Every single sport Crazy Train.
Every classic rock station plays those songs.
Everyone.
But there's also so many that they don't play.
Even Paranoid is overrated.
Everything that
I agree.
The first Pantera album, as they called it, even the one that was rejected in their minds was too long. War Pigs. Every single one has been sliced and diced in their riffs for some kind of advertisement use, to my knowledge.
Too commercial.
I might be wrong. There you go. Texas is agreeing with me. So there you go. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's the thing. I think Ozzy won hands down. Didn't even need the vote for Steve Unger, even though he's a little messed up, getting drunk, watching the Seahawks play their one of their final games before the season's over. I think they're going to be eliminated in the playoffs after they lose today. So sorry to say, Seahawks fans, you're not going to see the playoffs this year or next. But I think the best team right now, probably to win, if I was going to be a NFL fan, would be the Eagles of the Philadelphia area. I guess they're having a hell of a year. New York, you guys ever going to get to the playoffs again?
Oh, man, we suck. What, are you kidding me?
When's the last time you had a Jet fan go, I think we got a chance?
The Jets are my favorite team because of Joe Namath and Shea Stadium in Queens and those fantastic Jet. He won the Super Bowl, but that's 1,000 years ago.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous,
Yeah, I'm gonna say maybe next time for old Steve Unger. He seems like he's doing the same pain with a lot of pain, and he's dealing with the same problem I had, like back issues and getting old. Unfortunately, he didn't have the ability to do what I had to do. I'd be Superman. I flew in a bus and hit another part of the bus and flew all the way back and really fucked myself up.
Yeah.
But I'm recovering. So I just can't lift anything. I can't lift anything over 30 pounds. And for a big guy, I've always been big. I've sacked quarterbacks. I've taken footballs and hit them in the end zones because I've been a tight end. I played the football. I played the music.
You look like Tom Brady.
I can't throw I could catch the ball from Tom Brady probably very accurately as a tight end, but I could not throw the ball as accurate as he can. But I will definitely take a ball and take it to the end zone anytime he wants to throw it to me. So.
Well, I meant that you look very handsome. You know, Tom Brady. You
Oh,
got
those
Tom
are
Brady
attributes.
star
Thank
looks.
you, thank you. Those are other attributes. I was talking more about athletic attributes, but thank
Oh
you.
yeah.
I could actually play football still at this age of 50.
Have you
Pretty
ever played
accurate.
basketball? Did you ever get into
Yeah,
basketball?
yeah, not a hoop guy. I'm only 6'1", so I'm not gonna slam dunk you that much. You know, I'm 225 pounds at my girth. I was about 250, so I'm trying to get back to 235. So it's all muscle, as you can tell. So it is what it is. I don't want to show all my girth yet, so give me till spring, and then I'll show you the six pack when it's ready.
I tried playing basketball, but I'm too white.
Please do.
What do you mean? White man can't jump?
White man can't jump, and my problem is I foul too much.
Yeah, you play that typical white man defense. You can't play defense, so you play the white man defense. Grab the son of a bitch.
No, if the ball comes my way, I'm sorry, my elbows start moving.
Oh shit, that's dangerous. You give an elbow right to the rib cage, you know.
I can't help it. You know, I prefer, contact sports or baseball.
Right.
Because baseball, all you got to do is run. If the guy's in your way, run him over.
You say you prefer contact sports, but are you as big as our friend here? I forgot his name.
No, I'm
Troy. Are you as big as Troy?
No, I'm about 5'11", about 140.
Yeah.
I'm a skinny little guy.
Yeah.
I played football. I grabbed the ball and run.
Wow. Yeah, but you're from the South originally. You're from the South originally, so you like football,
no,
right?
Actually, I'm actually originally from the Midwest.
Illinois?
I grew up, my family, my dad, my brothers, they all live in a town right along the Mississippi River called Dubuque, Iowa, which is right along the Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, right there at the line.
Nice. That's a lot of drinkers then. That's why you drink. I know why you drink.
What?
So
no,
are all you guys moving to Europe? This is like one of the few shows we're gonna ever see from America.
Well,
we do have American guests, but we prefer to promote European artists because they show up most of the time. A normal, typical growing band from America will cancel out because they get jizzers, they don't know how to talk, they're not sure their agent wants to be on the show. A European artist with a full backing of their label or their wants and who they are,
they're full throttle. That's what they are.
They're professional. They're more professional. I'm sorry. We're more professional in Europe. Sorry.
Yeah, but you said you're going to move there. Is that true?
Yes. I like to hang out and get better. So I've always believed the concept: you play in pool, you don't play with slouches or people that barely know. You get better by playing the experts, and they're kind of the experts. And I want to learn more. I want to enjoy life. So Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Germany, Luxembourg, all those places, Austria, Romania, Russia, Ukraine, wherever. Hopefully the war ends. I want to go to Europe. And I want to explore and know the cultures of the nations of Europe, because as an American, it's for me to travel east. As Lewis and Clark went west, I will discover New York City and Kentucky and all these vast areas east of the Mississippi, because I've been to Texas a few times. But I will learn of the East and go further than that. I will go to Europe and then go to Asia and then go to Australia and other places, hopefully, before I die.
Not Lewis and Clark. Almost Heroes. The food alone is worth a little trip.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, are you going with Troy?
If I go,
Chris, are you going with Troy to Europe, or are you going to stay in America?
I got to stay in the States because I got a day job with a really good paycheck and a really kick-ass 401k.
Nice.
But at least you can record it there in Kentucky for me when I'm away.
I was going to say, Troy will have some kind of handheld communications device that will still be able to get on and check in and be like, hey, here's fucking Troy over in Denmark. What the fuck you doing in Denmark?
Wow.
Right. Copenhagen. Or maybe Stockholm and visit our friends from Pressure. Our dear friends from Pressure. I might be in Stockholm in Sweden, and eventually go to Finland to meet our friends for Swan Song, and then eventually talk to the Noble Demon people over there in Germany, and maybe meet Sober Truth in person. meet all the people we've had on guests, and build those relationships within person as we built them here on YouTube with Chronic Chris.
I'm going to Russia to marry Lisa.
Oh, wow.
I hope you don't. I hope you don't mind.
You got to realize that she's in Texas, not Russia.
Yeah, I know, but she's going to probably want to go to Russia to visit. She's probably homesick.
There's a war going on, sir.
Oh.
Lisa,
stay in America.
Yeah, they got some shit going down. People aren't trying to get in Russia; they're trying to get out of Russia.
Yeah, they're trying to get the other way. Yeah, beautiful country though, very vast. Very vast.
And you know, I never actually, you know, I think of Russia, you know, and you think, you know, it covers the whole everything above China. But I never knew that like their major cities are right there next to where Europe is. I always thought of like Moscow being somewhere over more close to like their eastern border.
What I love about this show has educated you for 2 years on geography, which I got a B+ in high school years and years ago. I'm glad that I'm able to take Chronic Chris and educate him on the geography of society in the world.
Now, when it comes to the United States, I'm like, you know, I got a map of the United States in my head. My dad was a truck driver. I grew up, you know.
Yeah.
Like I said, growing up for me is weird, and it's really hard to explain. I spent a lot of the time in foster care. And a lot of time, you know, just not with my family, but the times I was with my family, it was either in the semi with my dad or at grandma and grandpa's house.
Right.
So, you know, I had a map of the United States by the time I was 10 years old, permanently and etched in my head. When I was in my 20s, part of my 20s, I took a trip down Route 66, and it took me 3 months to do the whole thing because there were other things. Like being in the semi with my dad, I studied the maps when I was like 13. I found Ness City, Kansas. And I'm like, well, one day I have to go there. And that was actually part of my road trip in my 20s. I saw Ness City. I saw Dodge City, you know, Wyatt Earp and their hometown. And then I went to Liberal and saw Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz stuff there. And then I got back on Route 66 in Oklahoma and traveled down, caught the musical highway, got to play America the Beautiful using my car. If you hit Route 66 and just outside of New Mexico at 45 miles an hour, your tires will play. You know, and it's really awesome.
Well, you know, what's awesome about seeing anything in America is seeing the vastness we have. And that's one thing I think people really find out when they're from another country. I think Sabotage did that when they went to America this year, is that we have these cities that have all these people in it, but our large area of land, there's nobody there. It's just vast land. You know, and that's kind of like Russia too, because in a way we're kind of similar in that respect. Because unlike Europe, by the way, if you're from Europe lately, you probably know this, you could take a bus, a train, a car, and it's very easy to get from your house to anywhere you want all over Europe. You go 6 miles, 7 miles, 20 miles, 150 miles to the nearest whatever in America or Russia. So we're isolated with our own nation.
And
so
see, also, here's the thing about America too. And, you know, and I've always liked maps. And now with technology, you know, I got Google Maps, and then they got Google at night that shows you where the world lights up at night. Yes. And if you look at America, and if you look at the world, most places light up around borders.
That's
like
right.
America lights up the most around the East Coast, the West Coast, and then around Lake Michigan and around the Gulf of Mexico.
Water.
The Midwest, where I'm from, you can't even see it at Google Nights.
If you're not close to a large body of water, no lights. Close to a large body of water, lights all over the place.
Well, now, like, you can see Nashville, and if you know where to look for Nashville, then you can zoom in and find where I'm at. But like Seattle, Spokane, you're lit up. New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, good luck finding those places.
Or most of Wyoming or South Dakota or North Dakota.
Yeah.
Listen, maybe you'll see it on the edges next to the lakes, like you said, but unless you're close to water, most of those lights aren't lit up because there's no one there.
Right. Yes. And, like when I drove out west, I mean, driving Route 66, there was just a vast emptiness all around for many,
It felt
many
good, man.
miles between
It always felt good
towns.
out there. At night, you hear that tranquil aspect. But there's two things I always remember being in the desert, middle of nowhere, especially in this painted desert you're talking about. The two most beautiful times, in my opinion, was night and when the sun came up and when the sun came down. And oh my God,
Yes.
oh my God, I'm a photographer. I don't love, I hate to say it, I'm not really into human form, but I love landscape. Oh, I love landscape. And man, the scenery you see from the ocean or the desert in a vast area where there's no one there is just remarkable.
Well, see now, and I told you before about how I did this trip, right, Troy?
I think so.
I left. I left Illinois the beginning of Route 66, and I had $1,000 cash in my pocket, and I had a bunch of flags and sunglasses I bought in bulk from a mail order, and I bought them at like I think it was $2 per flag, and I had 100 of them, and then it was like 10 cents to 50 cents a pair of sunglasses, and I had 200 of them. And when I got broke along Route 66 and needed money, I set up my little stand and sold my flags and sunglasses and did all that thing and made money along the way. So the trip basically paid for itself, and it was just awesome, amazing, and there's so much to see along the way.
Any shout outs to what you saw? Anything you would love to highlight when the trip occurred? I mean, you're telling me this was a little while back, right? When did you actually go for everyone to know when you were out there? What time period was that, Chris?
Your preference.
This was summer. This was actually beginning of summer. I left in June, and we got to California at the end of July, and then we went up the coastal highway back down to Arizona, and then we caught Ozfest, and we were following Ozfest back to Illinois when the car finally blew up.
Was this several years ago? We're talking decades.
This was 2007.
2007. That's funny because I just entered this house in 2007 at LPM the first time I lived here. So I remember those ages. Those good times.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I know we're in the bracket, so we should congratulate the one. I mean, we picked enough votes here for him to win. We've got 3 votes. I think the only vote that wasn't was Texas for Dio. You said Aussie. I said Aussie. Crazy Joe, you're also right. Crazy Joe versus Dio, Aussie. So that's 3-1.
Yeah.
She wants to change her vote, make it 4-0. I think
Texas is.
the Prince of Darkness wins again. Ozzy
Yes.
Osbourne, favorite artist by ShopTalk International Standards, and of course, Chris Ness from Asgard.
And it's funny because a couple weeks ago, the job I worked for, they sent me to West Virginia, and we had this other crew of welders there on site. And the old man in the crew, he was cool as hell. He loved classic rock and shit. So me and him got along great. And I've been in a 24-year game of name that tune, name that artist.
Yes.
And we were sitting there bullshitting, and the song came on, and he looked at me and Dio, got ya. I'm like, yeah, he's still on tour. No, he's not. He's dead. They actually took a hologram. They made a Dio hologram, and he's been on tour randomly.
I think Sharon Osbourne, if Ozzy ever passed away, if she was still alive, would probably make a hologram of Ozzy.
She would.
You know what? It's a rumor. It's a speculation. I heard they have a suicide pact.
That's kind of sad.
That is crazy.
That is crazy. But I also have to say that is almost the epitome of true love.
It's kind of sad because we're all gonna live that dream movie. And we gotta take the car over the hill like they did in the movie, with the 2 girls. I mean, do we really want to go there? I mean, we lost 2 great artists that kind of played that game too. I mean, Linkin Park, Chester versus somebody else. Just saying.
That's crazy.
and they weren't that close, or maybe they were. I just don't think it's a good move because I always believe that, and maybe I'm just old-fashioned male. If I did have a wife, wives are there for you. They live longer than you to say all the nice things about you when you're dead, because all your enemies have already said all the bad things about you, so they're good to defend you. You know, no, that's not true. He said that, not that. As I always think, it's kind of cool to have somebody that loved you still around defending your honor when you're dead. Maybe call me crazy in that legacy aspect.
Well, I know, so I'm going to marry Lienna.
She'll say nice things if you're dead. Yes.
We'll be a great team. I'm telling you, we're going to take over the North Pole.
If she doesn't say nice things when you're dead, I will definitely say nice things if you're dead before me. So.
You probably live in Germany or something.
Of course, I say nice things about a lot of people that are dead.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, great guy. Love Frank Zappa. Not much of a drug user. Is that right, Chris? Frank Zappa was
no. Frank Zappa was not a drug user. He made his music sober, surprisingly.
Very much like myself. Unfortunately, most will know. Also, you guys may all have tattoos. Another aspect of me, I have 0 tattoos.
Zach Wild has no tattoos.
My family would kill me because my family kept on telling me, you're royal. You don't do that shit. You're in the royal family. And I said, okay.
Awesome.
I've not had a tattoo since then. And
I don't have tattoos either. No tattoos.
No tattoos. I may have a chip in my head. I don't know.
I don't have enough tattoos. I'll put that right out there. I don't have enough tattoos.
But I have piercings, though.
We got piercings. We got tattoos. Crazy.
I don't have tattoos.
Joe, how many tattoos and piercings you have? I have 0. What does Crazy Joe have? Do you have any piercings or tattoos?
I only have an earring. I only have one earring, and that's it.
He has a piercing. Okay, he has a piercing. Okay.
Yeah.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Tattoos.
I have 8 tattoos, and I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Touch-ups?
6. I've had 7 piercings.
Okay, wait a minute. Just because I don't have tattoos, I always go by numbers. Like, if you have a tattoo, right? If it's not connected to another tattoo, is that considered just a tattoo? But once it connects and it bridges another tattoo, what do you call that in tattoo land? Because I don't have tattoos.
A multi-piece. A multi-piece.
A multi-piece. Now, if you have multi-piece upon multi-piece, like, for instance...
Then you start getting into a sleeve, half sleeve.
Okay. Have you developed a sleeve yet, or you just mostly just...
I've got 2 images on my left arm. I have a mushroom head on my upper left arm, and then I have the Grateful Dead on my left forearm. I want to get Slipknot. I want to make this a full sleeve, and I want Slipknot. I want the little Ozzy Osbourne puppet. I want Chuck Berry and Elvis doing a goose or a duck walk.
Okay, well,
an old-fashioned ribbon microphone. You know, I want like rock music stuff sleeved up.
Right, and then I would have to do Spiegel Deutsch to make this a point clear about. Try to talk to Robert about this. They have a thing with Sabaton. It's called Sabaton Tattoos, and they make tattoos of Sabaton on their bodies. And their plug, I always seem to do. I'm not gonna do tattoos, but if I did do a tattoo, it would be a Sabaton tattoo, of course. And so maybe if you ever made Sabaton, maybe you can get a Sabaton tattoo from the Sabaton group over there in Germany. They support Sabaton. Yeah. Actually, the singer, I believe, is from Prague, former Czechoslovakia, as Peter told us, and most of the band is from Sweden, of course. So,
and then I have an idea for my right arm that I want to do my family history of. You know, I wouldn't mind a Viking hammer, Army symbol, a Marine symbol, a Navy symbol, just because my dad, my uncle, my grandfather, aunts, uncles, they all served. I want to get a semi put in there because my dad, grandpa, uncle, you know, they were career truck drivers. My grandfather also had a side logging company, so I'd want either a saw blade going through a log or something representing that. My grandmother, you know, I'd like to get like a military army nurse, something to represent that for her. You know, just shit to represent my father's side of the family history.
You know, I find that funny because, like, actually, and I see it, and what you're doing right now is great, because I think that's amazing. And when people do get tattoos, they do it for 3 reasons, in my opinion. They do it for themselves, they do it for their family, they do it for something they experienced, right? So that's a lot of reasons why people get tattoos. I never got tattoos because of the royal family aspect, because, you know, I can't have a tattoo if I wanted to do this or that, but that's fine. I'm an artist. I'll paint, I'll draw, I'll do what I can. I'll sing. All right.
Right.
But what I'm getting at is, Chris, what it seems like to me, and what I hope that a lot of people do in rock, when you're getting a tattoo, it seems like you're doing it for almost a self-legacy inheritance aspect of what you've done in your life. Like, this is almost like your time capsule. So when they say your marbles are gone, you go, look at that man. He's gone through some shit. You know, he's done this, he's from this, and he's from this. I mean, it tells a story in a way. Your tattoos tell a story. It's the illustrated man concept of Ray Bradbury, the illustrator man concept. When you see the tattoos, you see all the stories this person had in their lives.
Right. Well, and like you're saying, you know, it would be a story. My left arm would be all the music and all the musicians that I loved and listened to in my life, and then my right arm would be my family history, what they were, where they came from, and shit, like, you know.
Yes. Very, very remarkable that you're putting that legacy on your skin. And, you know, I guess I would have, if that was my destiny. Unfortunately, I have rules I have to follow. So
I'm gonna get a tattoo of Lisa. I mean, Leona. I'm gonna get a tattoo of her.
Lienna.
Lienna, to say
You don't mind, do you? You don't mind, do you, Leanna?
Of course not. Definitely not. Make sure you use that pinhead one.
Yes,
Okay. Very good.
her Hellraiser.
Beautiful one.
Where she kills you fictitiously. Which I was find amazing. Like Michelle the Dead, she's bringing out her severed head from the movie Jason, getting her killed, you know, in Friday the 13th Vengeance series. I was like, dang. You know, if you want to if you do have a chance to see yourself on our podcast, Lienna, if you want to bring anything art-wise on a next show sometime in the future, you're always welcome to bring whatever you think is necessary, or get permission to do it.
Yeah, I have a lot of material that I'm just aching to bring it out there to everyone.
When you're
to
ready, of course.
Yeah, because all of this that I do, it has nothing to do with a professional company distributing this. This is myself that I've done it, my photo shoots, my makeup that I create for myself, that I make it seem so real. So it's just myself. I'm just self-promoted, and this is something I want to bring out to the public, and I'm sure they will love it, you know. I
Well,
mean,
makeup wise,
everybody-
I think you're just as good, if not as good, as Michelle the Dead. She's also a makeup design, what do you call it? The molding aspect of putting that character together. It takes a lot of hours. Sometimes they say, what, 3 to 4 hours to get yourself ready, right?
it took me 4 hours to get this on
That's
point.
about right.
If you see the artistry in it, if you see the in-depth and every detail, it's right to on point, you know. But I did the female version. I didn't want to do, if I didn't want to have to bring out a man to pursue this and have a photo shoot in a male form. I wanted to bring it in a female form, as well as Pennywise, as well as Nightmare Before Christmas. I also have pictures of those if you guys are interested. And yeah, I mean, everything that I do.
Nightmare Before Christmas, hell yeah.
Yeah, I did a photo shoot with that, and my makeup again was on point as well. Everything I do, I try to be a very perfectionist, you know, so it bring it out really well, very well.
Good,
And this,
good.
yeah, this is nothing to do with a professional artist or a makeup artist or anything like that. I don't hire no professional artist. Everything is done by me with the people that I work with and the photo shoots. And I have a very good professional photographer that does my photo shoots for my for my publicity, obviously.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm ugly. I need all the help I can get, Leona.
Makeup.
Yeah, but
I think
that's only for my promoting and my publicity, for people can see that I'm broadened. I have more to give than just being a music promoter. I have more to give than just being a record label promoter. I am also an icon. I'm also self-made and entrepreneur. So this is just to offer my qualities to the public and have them see someone new, you know, someone fresh, you know, someone that's not an actress, someone that's not a singer, you know, because normally everybody looks at the TV and they see this concert, they see Lady Gaga, they see Madonna, they see all of them. But guess what? Here we are as artists, you know, raw, raw material here out there for the public to see, which people can in actuality relate to. Not a lot of people can relate to the Kardashians. Is nothing but, I hate to say this, there's so much plastic surgery. It's not even funny. You see other artists, I have nothing against plastic surgery, but sometimes people want to see something different and not the same, as everybody else. So
Well,
this
here's
is
the thing. It's genetics, I think, and people say I'm good looking, but I'm going to give you a little test here. See, most people that wear makeup, they wear makeup. Look at this. Not a lick of makeup. Not one piece. Nothing on the lips.
I use
Nothing.
makeup as an art. I look at makeup as an
Nothing.
art and not for
The
glam.
reason why is because you got to keep yourself healthy. If you want to look good, stay healthy.
I agree.
It will naturally show up on your face. If you want to have a bad look, stress out, worry, it will show up on your face. If you're confident, it will show. If you're not, it will also show.
It also consists of your diet. It has a lot to do with what you eat, how you carry yourself. For instance, I myself
Chris, I just wanted to show the world that you don't have to be fake. You don't have to wear makeup. You don't have to present yourself. You just got to be real and really take that as a strong aspect of your character. Because if you're an artist, especially when you start out, you need that character building. You really do.
You have to promote uniqueness. You have to promote individuality. You cannot promote something that somebody else has that we consider the norm, which is not the norm. If you look at the Woodstock times, a lot of people didn't have the boob jobs, the BBLs or the facelifts, and they were just fine and they were famous. They were heavy women and skinny women. Now you have to be skinny to be a runway model. Now you have to look like the Kardashians to be an actress, and clearly you see that.
The sexiest woman in American history was a thick one, and her name was Marilyn Monroe.
True.
Oh yeah,
very true. That's the thing that they actually had a word for it back then. It wasn't considered PC bad or anything else. It was called a bombshell. A bombshell. And that was because we used to have bombs, and the bombs kind of look like breastises, and they were curvature, and it looked like a bomb. That's why I call it a bombshell.
Yes, the blonde bombshell she was.
I promote that. I promote uniqueness. I promote artistry. I promote makeup as an art. Not, for instance, let me give you a perfect example. I don't wear your typical eyeliner, lipstick. I don't get up early in the morning and dress up like a office clerk or a nurse or anything like that. I dress up as what I feel like dressing up. If I want to go punk, I'll go punk. If I want to go heavy metal, heavy metal. My makeup is very unique. Even when I wake up and I put on that makeup, it's not your typical Kardashian, your typical person out there on TV, showing their face. I make a dramatic impression to everyone that sees me. That's my everyday life.
Good.
That's good. Let me ask you this.
Honey, you don't need any makeup with me.
For a person that wears makeup, and even Troy as an artist, when you go on stage or when you go out into that atmosphere, are you wearing makeup or are you wearing some face paint or war paint?
I'm wearing art because it depends on what I'm representing. If I'm representing heavy metal it is. If I want to look your dramatic, I do, like I said, I don't look like Doro. I give the vibe of Doro, but I look extremely eccentric, where people can see the difference between me and other artists. I'm just very punk, very dramatic, very probably very gothic, very deep. I give out the dark entity look. People can actually see me and they're like, oh wow, she's different. You can literally see the difference. I'm different, in what I dress, how I wear my makeup, everything. If I wear my hair green, if I wear my hair purple, if I wear my hair whichever color may be, I am an entity. I create an entity. I am not myself. I'm an entity. I transform. And that's my artistry. That's what makes me unique as to who I am. And it gives me the eccentricness. So that's what I portray. That's why I'm hired by a lot of labels. That's why I'm hired to represent the labels. That's why I'm hired to represent metal. That's why I'm hired to be in the spectrum that I'm in, because of that uniqueness. I'm not your typical Jane. I will never be a typical Jane at all. Definitely.
Good. Do not be a typical. I would reference, because I think the question was both asked both of us, is that when I'm going to perform again, and I have done whiteface before, I'm going to do lighter whiteface because I see a lot of people overdo the whiteface. I love the whiteface, but because I don't wear makeup, won't take that much. I'll just be a little bit more white, maybe a more Romanian look. I might do the old classic black nails on my fingers that are not black yet, and maybe do my lips a little bit. There you go. That's it.
See, here's why I asked, because if I'm going to a show, like if I'm going to a mushroom head show, and I've gone to a few mushroom head shows, I like to paint the mushroom head mask on my face. Up until recently, when I learned about, how people like Lienna or Raven Black, do their makeup and how they, make it so nice and neat and perfect. Mine always looked like my 10-year-old redheaded cousin did it. But this kid I work with, he said something about wearing makeup, and I'm like, well, no, I don't wear makeup, but I wear face paint. And I've showed, him pictures of, like, I went to Chicago Open Air to see Amon Amarth, and I did like a Viking war paint design, a little red, a little gray, black and white blended. Or I showed him pictures of my mushroom head shows, and he's like, well, that's makeup. And I'm like, no, that's face paint and that's war paint. Where do you draw the line at makeup?
I don't. I think it's both makeup and war paint. I think the definition is the same. I think that you can't change a definition of what it is. Just accept you're wearing makeup or you're wearing war paint. It's pretty much the same.
Or no, I'm saying, where do you draw the line between makeup and face paint? Because you say makeup to me, and I think like a woman's mascara and eyeliner and lipstick.
I think where you draw the line is your concept as to what is art. That's where you draw the line. What is art? What you consider is art. Art could be on the outside, could be in the inside, could be in your body. That's art. It's if what you consider makeup being is art. Makeup could be makeup. Face paint could be face paint. They're both the same in the same category, but the concept bottles down to what your concept is about, what your perception is about, what do you see. That's where you draw the line. If you consider it art, then you look outside the box. You don't look inside out, you look outside in, because it's no longer how you feel inside to portray your feelings and what people are going to see the outside in, but you have to see outside the box where you look in the outside. From the outside to the person that you are. So you're going to look at yourself as an asset. When you look at yourself as an asset, is what do you want this persona to look like? That's where it becomes art. When it becomes makeup, is you're trying to hide your feelings internally to show the people a different perception of you. Okay, that's when you wear makeup. But when it's art, it's totally different. You see yourself as an asset. If you're an asset, you can that asset. You gotta sell that person, and that person just may be you. So you have to look outside the box, because you are your own promoter, your own entrepreneur, and you are your own marketing value. And that's how you have to see yourself. You gotta market yourself. You can't see yourself inside out. You have to see outside in. Most definitely.
So well said. There you go. And that, I love that answer. So I'm gonna give a shout out. Whitey, the guy that asked me that question. I'm not wearing makeup. I'm not wearing face paint. It's art.
Exactly.
It's art.
We are wearing art for the artist.
Definitely.
It's
because
art.
That's how I see myself. If you look at my pictures, none of my pictures look the same. If you go to my Facebook profile, you're like, wow, you can see it's my face, but not every portrait that I portray on that Facebook is the same. They're all have different aspects, some type of an entity, some type of a call to identify with everybody that sees me. But I am different in every single picture with the same face. So I give out a storyline on every picture that you see, and everybody can identify with. That's what I call art. So I would never consider myself wearing makeup. I consider myself, wearing art. I am that persona. I'm a self-promoter and I'm a marketer. So I market myself. So therefore I look outside. From the outside in instead of the inside out. Because We all go through things. We all have problems. We all have deaths in the family. We all have sicknesses. We have someone that we have stress. We have work. We have a lot of problems. You know, you can't let people know your problems. The people are suffering already. So you can't let them know. You can't give them that baggage through you. You have to give them that solidarity, that happiness, that representation of a fresh look of something they can look up to and that they can look forward to. And that is your art. That is that persona that you're marketing, that you're putting out there for those people to see, that gives them that type of relief, that less stress, and they have something to look forward to looking at.
That's a great way of putting it.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of funny. I took a picture of us because I know this is going to take a little while to come out. And that's art too. If you're able to take an image and you're able to edit it and you make it into something that's two-dimensional, that's what we call art as well. It's a painting aspect or it's a photography aspect. When you're doing motion pictures, you're doing an art. You're doing a movie, which means taking frames that are moving through time to see.
Let me give you a perfect
everything has its own medium, its own category, sometimes its own genre. Because we're talking about music, like you got your metal, you got your heavy metal, and it's subgenres too. So it's art in every aspect, be it image, be it art, be it horror, be it classical, be it like Madonna, whatever. There's so many different species to it all.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you see Ghost, for instance, the band Ghost, they have their art. You have Kiss, one of the major, you know, one of the founders of face art. Of course, Alice Cooper is one of them as well. You see them, you know, their artistry. That's an identity. And look at what happened to Kiss when they took off the mask, when they took the makeup. How many people they lost? They were not as famous as they were when they had the makeup on, and they demanded to have their makeup back on because they lost a lot of publicity. Crazy shit, crazy thing, but it's true.
Well, it's image meeting reality. It happened in wrestling a lot when you see wrestling fans and they like a wrestler, when they don't like a wrestler, how their sales go up or down. It happens even in that market. So perception of what a person is and what they will be in the future is always it's fluid in the media. You know, you could be up one day and down the next, down one day and up all the way up again. I mean, it really depends on that medium scale of what's in and what's out. And we can call it trendy. We can call it what's
it's what sells. It's what people can identify with. It's what people can identify with and what sells. I mean, we're talking about market spectrum, then yes, of course. But if you're talking about people not wanting to identify with the artist, you know, and they want that makeup back on, you have to look at their perspective as well. You know, they don't want to identify their feelings with this person. They want that facade, that idea that they had or how they saw them when they had the makeup on.
Well, also sometimes when you take the makeup or the mask off, it's just totally not what you expect. I mean, look at Slipknot. I mean, Mick Thompson, number 7 in Slipknot, wears the big machine looking mask. He takes off the mask, you know, and he kind of looks like what his mask represents. And then you got someone like Corey Taylor. He takes off the Slipknot mask, goes over to Stone Sour, and it's just holy shit, night and day.
Yeah. True.
Well, there's a lot of different ways of looking at it, but I think we did pretty well today when we come to the brackets. Again, congratulations also to Swan Song. My vote for our best guest this year. Any particular person you consider our best guest this year? Any particular ones on the creds there, Chris, that you enjoyed on Asgard, but also on ShopTalk?
Oh, I've enjoyed every guest we've had this year, especially the ones today. Thank you, Crazy Joe and Lienna Rommann, for joining us today. Let me think. Thanks always this last year, Peter Sermon,
of course,
Steve Unger, Danny Six, Swan Song, shit.
Bad Baron. Bad Baron, I think, was a good one. That was a good first release. They all passed by Germany, and then they were also on Ozfest. You found out as well.
Yes.
What Ozfest were they in?
The what?
It was a little back.
Fuck, I don't remember off the top of my head.
It was a little back. It was a little back before the COVID, I believe. They were on. stuff. And it's funny about the singer is he was actually on The Voice of the Finnish version, playing and I think that was amazing when we first got a chance to know him. And like, Lawrence is a great guy. He just had a birthday, and he's just very straightforward artist. He tells it as it is. He doesn't BS anything. Finnish voice of English. And I loved how he was even being a little bit political, say, hey, it might be a little cold. We have an issue with the temperature and the energy because of the war in Finland. So
Right.
I enjoyed his actual really cool way of being. Unfortunately, guys, I'm about ready to run out of power in 5 minutes because I'm about ready to hit that power button on mine. So if we want to wrap it up, Chris.
Well, yes, no, that's actually what I was kind of ready to do here. I was, thanking Crazy Joe and Lienna. I sent you friend request on Facebook. We are definitely going to talk more later on Asgard, about Asgard, and doing more work with you guys. And I'm thinking of all the people we've had this last year. Like I said, Peter Sermon, Steve Unger, Greg Fox, Danny Six, all the people over in Europe, all the fucking weirdos, Vorst, all the people who just love the music and want to keep the music going this last year. We're still talking to Sarah Jacobs, and she's the promoter in Kansas. Troy Anderson, Rebecca Kelly Hartnett, all the people we've worked with this last year. It has been an amazing fucking year.
And more to come, my friend.
Yes,
unfortunately, time and power does run out. Until we see you again next year, what do you think, Chris? Next year?
Oh, next year is going to be, like I said, there's even more to come next year. Jim's already, wanting me to get end of year artists lined up for interviews, but we're pretty much at the end of the year.
This is not getting
we may get one or two more in this year. Especially, thanks to Lindy Gabriel and the Apocalypse, Raven Black. Shit, there's just so many artists we've had on this year that I can't think of them all to thank. The flux capacitors was one I did with Jim, and they are actually officially licensed and promoted by the Back to the Future casting crew.
Michelle the Dead,
yes, can't forget Michelle of the Dead.
Friday the 13th, Vengeance.
Christina Villa on the East Coast. Dan Robinson, we just had him. Ben Albert.
There's a likelihood we'll get Stephen James in again with, I guess, the 2 cue balls.
Yes, Martin Reed Thomas and Greg Fox. I know they're getting ready for Renaissance Rock Orchestra and their things that they do. But
was on the first time here from Anti-Hero in Tacoma, so I'll give a few Tacoma shout outs. So that was cool that he was here at LPM to do that last interview a few weeks back. So Anti-Hero, Charlie Drown, maybe we'll see her next year. But until then, Chris, my time and power is running out. I hope everyone's had a great time on Shop Talk International Interviews and at Asgard with Chris Ness.
All right.